You know, the best way to campaign right now for president would be to, I don't know, maybe visit disaster areas where people are suffering and bring relief and aid to them. Certainly, Donald Trump is doing just that. He's showed up at one of the locations that were devastated by Helene, and he is heavily criticizing Kamala and Biden for not. And this actually I did not believe, because we had this story over the weekend where people are claiming Tim Walz flipped off. He flipped the bird to a bunch of college students who were heckling him, yelling Trump 2024. And I'm like, dude, he's just pointing at somebody. Like, I can't believe that Kamala Harris, who was running on the Democratic ticket, would not abruptly cancel her events and then fly to one of these affected areas. And she's not. Oh, she certainly canceled one of her events, flew to D.C. for a briefing. And now we got another story. Trump slams Kamala for a fake photograph where she's pretending to do some work. And people have pointed out that her earbuds aren't even plugged into her phone. Why? Well, new iPhones don't even have headphone jacks. It's like, what is this plugged into? What is she doing? It all seems staged. Then people are posting this photo they claim shows Tim Walz and his wife cheering on a football team that's not even on the field. And it's just like, what is going on with this campaign? Look, they're saying maybe Kamala and Biden will head down soon. We don't know yet for sure. Kamala's under serious pressure to go and visit these affected areas. But we've got a major phone outage that's been going across the nation with Verizon. We've got people in this Asheville area. There's no power. There's no communications at all. Cells are down. Shout out to Nick Sorter getting Starlink up to help people get communicating. And Kamala's not even there. And that's actually really surprising to me. So we're going to talk about that and everything that's going on with this disaster. We got huge news. Israel has invaded Lebanon. We're getting reports that the Tennessee National Guard is deploying to the Middle East. And wow. Before we get started, my friends, head over to preservegold.com/TimPool. Today's episode is brought to you by Preserve Gold. Shout out. We really do appreciate it. They say financial experts are urging Americans to prepare now. With inflation soaring, a border crisis affecting cities and small towns, and warnings of a recession, my friends, we are living in insane and unpredictable times. To protect your retirement accounts and 401ks, you should strongly consider physical gold and silver. Right now, Preserve Gold has an exclusive offer for my viewers where you will get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase, as well as a free guide. So text TIM to 50505 to learn more and visit preservegold.com/TimPool. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews, millions of dollars in trusted transactions and happy clients. And, just considering all the news we talk about all day, I just, maybe you want to start preparing and just hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Shout out to Preserve Gold. Thank you so much for the sponsorship and helping support the show. Also, don't forget, my friends, it has arrived. The new song, Coming Home, featuring Phil Labonte on guest vocals. Go to getcominghome.com, purchase the song. And we're requesting that you guys buy it on iTunes because we're trying to get past the gatekeeping where they pretend like our sales don't count. The last song we released, I think what the last song was As Advice, but we put out a song together again, 35,000 sales. And they come to us and say, you know what, your sales don't count, which is insane. They've done something similar to Tom McDonald in the past. Go to getcominghome.com, check out the song, buy it 99 cents, and we'll send a message that we can produce culture, that we got good stuff too, and they can't gatekeep us. Don't forget to also head over to timcast.com. Click join us to become a member. That members only show is coming up tonight. It's going to be wild. It's going to be fun because after you smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, I will tell you that who is joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Alex Stein.
Pimp on a blimp. I just want to start off by saying they're using HARP to manipulate the weather and causing all of these hurricanes so that we lose focus about them eating cats and dogs. And, honestly, Tim, I just recently went on a Carnival cruise with like 1,000 African Americans. It was actually a lot of fun. But we went to Labadee, Haiti.
Did you really?
Yeah, Haiti's great. Oh, dude, there's no Haitians there. You can just leave your keys on the beach. If the election doesn't go our way, I think people need to consider actually going to Haiti. Just want to say that.
Well, all right. We got Raymond G. Stanley Jr.
What is up, my friends? I'm your resident blue-collar worker veteran. I look forward to tonight here with Mr. Alex Stein. First time together with him. And we're going to talk about the moon landing. Probably not because that'll take 10 hours. Yeah. But, shout out and prayers to all the people down in North Carolina, Tennessee. Give them your support the best you can. I'll shout out some people later on today. But hi, Hannah Claire.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here with both of you. Yeah, seriously, do whatever you can for the people in Florida and Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina who are really affected by the hurricane because it was crazy. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for SCNR.com at Scanner News. I'm happy to be back with all of you. Let's get started.
Here's the first big story. We'll start with ABC News. Trump in Georgia attacks Biden and Harris on Helene response. Biden says he's lying. Now, I love this. Did they need to add that? They're doing that to poison the well because the reality is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not visiting the disaster sites. And the response they've been given when asked is they may go in the future, but they don't want to negatively impact disaster response. Since when has that stopped a president or vice president or public officials from going to disaster sites to provide relief and aid, at least survey the damage? Now, Donald Trump is on the ground in one of these locations. They say former President Trump spoke at a furniture store in Hurricane Helene ravaged Valdosta, Georgia on Monday, where he said the day wasn't about politics, only to use the moment to continue to slam Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for what he claimed was a poor response, saying, as you know, our country is in the final weeks of a hard-fought national election. But in a time like this, when a crisis hits, when our fellow citizens cry out in need, none of that matters. We're not talking about politics now. We have to all get together and get this solved. We need a lot of help. They have to have a lot of help down here, Trump said. But at the same time, Trump suggested Biden and Harris weren't doing enough in the aftermath of the hurricane, which hit several states, including Georgia and North Carolina, 2 battlegrounds in the upcoming election. Can I just pause and say, guys, these are battleground states. Kamala Harris got a layup here. Come on down. Help people. What's going on?
Well, why don't they want individuals going there to help? Have you seen those tweets where they said to not go there and help people?
Well, I understand that.
Why, though? I mean,
because people need to understand what a disaster economy is. Okay. If you were to drive down to these areas, especially with all the power down, with major flooding, the roads are covered in mud. The floods just wipe out the roads and they leave mud and everything behind. Your vehicles can't get through. If people start coming down without proper experience, trying to rush in and do general help, they could get stuck and create bigger problems, not to mention downed trees and a lack of resources, food and water, et cetera. So certainly trained first responders, NGOs, and people who are prepared for this, of course, you should go down. But I think that does make sense. That being said, Kamala Harris should absolutely be levying the weight of government and flying down to provide what relief they can in the immediate. We've seen this from most politicians throughout this country whenever something like this happens.
Well, we've seen every politician in Ukraine, conservative and liberal, but I haven't seen any of these politicians in Georgia. Isn't that weird?
Right. It's crazy. They're willing to go abroad, but they won't travel domestically. Is there a chance this is a huge miscalculation by the Harris campaign? What I mean by that is she had this event in Las Vegas. They're like, she is flying back to D.C. to get updates and briefings. Kind of, to me, to message that she is already kind of acting as president, right? She's this national figure. She has to rush back to the White House to get federal information, whatever. But actually what people want is a candidate who goes to them when they are in a time of crisis. So to me, her campaign, I think probably she doesn't want to go, but they're trying to pass it off as like, well, she was urgently needed in D.C. because she's a very important part of this administration.
Well, I mean, come on, let's be real, Hannah Claire. How would you feel? You get a long plane ride, you land, you got to land outside, get in a helicopter, you're going to be dirty, you land, you're walking in mud, wearing waders.
And she has super expensive suits.
I know,
she can't just go to a disaster zone.
What is she? Bear Grylls? She can't. She's Kamala Harris. We can't expect her to actually go down and look at the suffering and try and help.
Well, do we think they want it to be a worse disaster? So the climate change agenda is just,
No, I think they've completely abandoned the climate change stuff.
No, they care about that and abortion, Tim, are like their two favorite things.
In the last debate, they barely brought up climate change at all.
I guess you have.
They had nothing to campaign on.
But they love that.
No. Look at Greta Thunberg. She's like, Israel is climate change now because climate change nobody cares about.
Yeah, I don't.
And now with Israel invading Lebanon, climate change is just gone. It's just over. But anyway, you were going to say something.
I'm going to say, why does she have to spend days in Washington? Like, she's on a plane, she gets Wi-Fi, super Air Force One. She can't do it in the air because she's got to wait until she gets to Washington, D.C. She couldn't have done it on her way there. Like, what's so big she can't do a phone call with someone? Mm-hmm. She has to be there in person.
Well, and my understanding is like she was going to go back to Washington after this Las Vegas event anyway. So really, she's just not changing her plans. Maybe I'm wrong on that front. But some of it is like, do you have a manicure appointment you need to keep? Like, why do you have to be in D.C. at all? And again, I think this is to number one, I don't think it's climate change. I think that they want to avoid the impression that the federal government isn't responding effectively enough, because now, instead of just being an attack on Joe Biden, it is now the Biden-Harris administration that's under fire. Meaning if she doesn't respond effectively, if she doesn't do the right things, then this is what you can expect going forward. I think trying to avoid the disaster zone is like trying to avoid the border. They don't want to address it.
Right, that's a good point. And it's funny, someone made that graph where Kamala's tweets 3 years ago, then nothing about the border, and then only right now, huge border issues. But let me read this quote from Joe Biden. He says, "Let me get this straight. He's lying. I don't know why he does this, and the reason I get so angry about it, I don't care what he says about me. I care what he communicates to the people that are in need. He implies we're not doing everything possible. We are. So it's simply not true. It's irresponsible. Trump's criticism is that they aren't there to help the people, and I understand this, okay? I understand that. I really do believe Joe and Joe Biden. I honestly don't think Kamala's doing anything, but I think Joe probably had a few phone calls and he says, "What can we get done down there?" And they say, "Look, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Here's our plan." And he probably said, "Okay, yeah, go for it." And that was about it. I don't think it's so much that he's twirling a mustache, laughing, watching people suffer. Sure. But you need a president who is a leader who shows that there is hope and potential, and that's why presidents go down to these disaster zones to show you I will take the time out of my day to be here for you. I want you to see that I'm here. I want you to know that I'm thinking about this. Because when you see Biden in the White House at the Resolute desk or whatever, you don't know what he's doing. Like maybe he's pulling out a Game Boy and playing Tetris or something. Maybe Kamala Harris is like flying back because she wanted to get some, like, I don't know, whatever food they have in D.C. Maybe she wanted cheesesteak in Philly or something. You want to know that when they fly down, it's because they care about you. And that means their whole day, as they're flying through disaster zone, at the bare minimum, they are thinking about what is happening to your area. That means that's where their focus is. And they're saying they're doing everything they can. What about leadership? I can't say I'm surprised that Donald Trump flew down immediately. Yeah. It's a campaign opportunity, but it's what someone who's asked to be president should be doing. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's a tough job to do.
And if they're worried that they're going to disrupt any kind of saving or any kind of helping out, Trump is there. He's not disrupting anything. He's off to the side, but he's still showing the people that he cares.
I think there is a way to do it without disrupting emergency services, which is the cover that the Harris campaign is running for. And Biden is saying he's going to be in North Carolina on later this week. But again, she's an active presidential candidate. She's supposed to be so responsible. They don't have any kind of plan at all. She is a not very likable person. So there's almost this. I wonder if it's like they can't bring her to sympathetic people who needs empathy because she'll just let out one of her weird cackles and everyone will be like, "Stop talking. You're making us all uncomfortable." I think of, instead they think the image of her going to the FEMA headquarters, very serious, political girl boss, so to speak, is better. But when you contrast that with the interviews, I was listening to one with a woman today who was like, "I am so tired. I'm so hungry. I haven't heard from all of my kids." It's heartbreaking to think that's what's going on the ground, and Kamala Harris would rather just talk to bureaucrats in Washington than actual people. Yeah.
Well, I have to put on my tinfoil hat. I think the conspiracy is that Joe Biden doesn't want Kamala to win because he wants to be the only person that defeated Trump, and that they're probably having a bad response on purpose, like he's throwing the game.
I've heard people say this.
I believe
I totally agree with that. I think that there's no loyalty between them at this point.
None.
Again, they basically threw him a funeral at the DNC and were like, "Go to California and stay gone." I mean, if his team is saying, "Well, we're going to North Carolina," and I'm sure Kamala Harris is going too, that's very backhanded, right?
Yeah, I think that he doesn't. Joe Biden wants to be the only person that has beaten Trump.
But they're on one team though. Why?
No.
No.
So I don't know if I believe that, but it's funny you bring it up because I've seen a couple posts from people, and I've had
put on that Trump hat. You think he's that senile? Right. I mean, he put on that hat.
And people are saying, do you think that Joe is phoning it in right now?
Obviously,
because he's resentful for how they forced him out. And so he's like, "You don't want me? You don't get me. I ain't going to help you." And so it's either that he's intentionally sabotaging them, putting on a Trump hat, something like that. Or he's just saying, no. Like they call him and say, "Joe, we need this. Help us win." And he goes, "No, you don't want me. You don't get me." Click.
So does his brain actually work now?
I think it works. No. I think it goes in and out.
No. Like you ever have one of those solar powered calculators?
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes when the battery was dead and it was only on solar, the numbers would be kind of faded, but you could still type in and do calculations. It's hard to read.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
That's what Biden's like right now. It's he can't speak properly. The communication isn't all there. You're worried. Sometimes it fades out completely, but you can hold it up in the light and it'll come on for a little
bit. You'll get a glimmer.
You'll get a glimmer.
And you know who really wanted to stay in the White House? Joe Biden and all of the staffers who depend on Joe Biden for their White House position. And so I'm sure they're all looking at each other like, "We're not going to help. We're not campaigning for Harris. We're not helping her. Put that Trump hat on."
Wait, don't forget, Harris's staff hates her. I mean, she goes through staff members like tissue paper.
Can you just imagine what Jill Biden said when she found out Joe was ousted by Democrats to put in Kamala?
Oh, there's holes in her walls at home right now.
Just boom, punching holes.
She's like, I have 3 or 4 more granddaughters, and they were all supposed to have White House weddings. She's mad. This was her chance to be this glamorous first lady, and they have stolen it from her.
What? How young? We say grandkids.
One of their granddaughters got married. It was actually like 1 weekend before Tiffany Trump got married at Mar-a-Lago. This was like the first year he was in office. But they're all in their 20s, college age. So hypothetically, she could have a lot of White House weddings.
Well, and did you see that they said Doug Imhoff is like the idea of masculinity?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh, yeah,
He's about to be the first gentleman.
We'll just show this real quick before we move on. Newsweek says Kamala Harris under pressure to visit Hurricane Helene ravaged states. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing for a news headline to say at Newsweek. And I know I'm going to hear this from all these people be like, you're so biased. Why are you making Kamala Harris? Because even Newsweek is pointing out we and many others are pressuring her to go do this. I said earlier today, if Kamala flies down to survey the disaster areas and assure people things are going to be okay, they were there for them, I would praise her for it. I said, this is a disaster. I don't want to make it political. Kamala and Trump should be down there first thing. And if Kamala and Trump are down there, I give them both credit. If Kamala goes down, I am going to praise her for doing it. Credit where credit is due. And I can't believe I'm not surprised. Look at this. We have this one. Biden says he hopes to visit Helene impacted areas this week if it doesn't impact emergency response. That's an excuse. It's from this morning. It's an excuse. Well, I go down there, but I don't want to impact their response. But we need you, okay? Look, you don't got to do a lot. Joe Biden needs to go there, stand in front of a microphone and say, listen, I came down because you guys matter. And I'm going to talk with the people who are here. The people who are suffering are going to tell me directly what you need. But I tell you this, with Biden and Kamala not down there, they're like, don't worry, I'll get on a phone with somebody and they'll tell me what's going on.
This is the same couple that was happy to go to Ukraine, right? Like they have toured Ukraine. Yeah. They have gone a lot of places. They won't go to a disaster area that's within the country they live in. It's even on the same side of the country that they live in.
Let's jump to this story, which just makes things worse. We got this one from Daily Mail. Trump claims Kamala Harris staged photo of hurricane briefing that sparked conspiracies on social media. You have to plug the cord into the phone for it to work. Okay, this is interesting. Take a look at this photo. Kamala Harris, for those that are just listening, sitting at at her desk on Air Force One, it looks like. And was it Air Force Two? I don't know. Maybe she's on Air Force One. Does it say?
Probably one nowadays. Who knows?
That's why I was asking, right? But look at this. She's got an earbud in, and it's and why? And look, it's going down into her lap. And the point is, it's not plugged into her phone, but you can't see the bottom of it. I just want to say this. When was the last iPhone that had a headphone jack? They don't have headphone jacks anymore.
Is that an iPhone?
Well, mine does, but you know what this really...
Yours does have one.
Well, I think, you can plug the headphones into this, but...
the lightning port. Okay.
But you know what worries me about this is the fact that Kamala Harris can have the best technology in the world, and she doesn't have Bluetooth headphones, which means Bluetooth probably does cause brain cancer or something. I mean, why doesn't she have, like, the AirPod Pros?
Yeah, right? You know why she's not wearing AirPods? She wants people to see the cable... Yeah. So it looks like she's doing something important. Do you
remember when she got off that plane and walked past reporters, but then it was obvious she wasn't on a phone call or anything? Right. The headphones are a prop.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say she's got the earrings in, so she doesn't need AirPods.
Everybody knows this. Whenever you'd see those activists on the street and the clipboards fundraising, and they're like, hi, do you have a minute to talk? You put your headphones in and you just walk, and as you're walking past, you just point the headphones and you just keep going. I'm being polite. I can't hear you. Hey, I'm out of here. We know what you're doing.
I do that with earbuds, but sometimes it's just my hair is covering my ears. I'm like, I'm on the phone. I can't hear you at all.
Well, one of the secrets for them is you just say something like, gay? And then they'll just be like, I can't talk to you.
I like to say no. I just say no. No, thanks.
Well, what's funny about this picture, though, too, notice how the windows are down? We don't even know if this plane's in the air. We don't know. Now you got your tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, it's just... No, but let's be real. How much you want to bet that they stage a bunch of different photographs so they can put them out when they need to for whatever message they need to send?
This was originally going to be Kamala Harris works on speech before a very important meeting in Las Vegas. And they're like, change it, FEMA.
But hold on, let's be real, too. What is she signing, and what would she need to sign for disaster relief? She's the vice president, not the president. So I don't need to see this from her. I need a 5-second video, a 10-second video from her on Instagram or X, where she just says... our hearts are going out to the victims of Helene. We are doing everything we can. We will be with you shortly. God bless you all, and we wish you the best. Help is coming. I would have been like, thank you. That's actually really nice. Let's get to the politics after the fact.
I guarantee she's just making a Stussy sign right there. Did you used to do that in school where you'd make the S? Yeah, the S. I guarantee that.
3 lines down?
Yeah, she's doing that. That's exactly what she's doing. There's no way she's writing anything. It's just so fake.
I love this story because it's just, what is going on, right? Another fake and staged photo from someone who has no clue what she's doing. However, the angle of the image does not provide a sight line to the port of the VP's phone, raising the possibility their headphones were in fact plugged into the device. The earphone's cord falls straight out. I can't believe this is news. This is so
I also think it would be easier to go with she has two phones. One is for work and one is for personal, right?
She definitely has more than one phone.
I think that they would just be like, well, you can't see, so you don't know for sure. Like that's actually a very weak excuse. I mean, the reality is like, she does not give candid off-the-cuff remarks well, and so it's easier for them to just take her picture and tell you, oh, she's very, very busy, doing very important work, and she cares a lot about people, rather than actually having to show that she does.
This is the challenge I have. She put out this statement, and I respect it, and I'll give it a half mark. Right? She said, "I was just briefed by FEMA Deanne Criswell on the latest developments about our ongoing impacts of Hurricane Helene. We also discussed our administration's continued actions to support emergency response and recovery. I also spoke with NC Governor Cooper about the ongoing rescue and recovery efforts in North Carolina. Our administration will continue to stay in constant contact with state and local officials to ensure communities have the support and resources they need. Doug and my thoughts are with those who lost loved ones and those whose homes, businesses, and communities were damaged or destroyed during this disaster. I don't need the photograph. What I need is for you to say it. Because I don't like that this is likely. I'll tell you what this is. And I don't believe it for a second. This is likely a staffer wrote the message up, grabbed a stock photo of Kamala and posted it, and she had no idea what was going on. I don't believe it's genuine. I'd like to see her just make a short video. Maybe she has. I'll check. Maybe she has one.
I'm looking right now, at least on Twitter, nothing within her last 10 of them.
Just a video of her boarding a plane.
She really needs to hire Mr. Beast because that thumbnail sucks. I mean, if you really look at that, does that make you want to see what's really going on?
This image? So she needs like a big thumbs up.
Expressive, something. I mean, how would Mr. Beast rate this?
It needs to be like a big red bold disaster with shadows, like disaster exclamation point.
Mr.
That would
Beast
make me
emojis.
political.
Yeah, emojis.
Shocked emojis.
She does have a video about Zelensky, of course, from yesterday. That's the one talking about.
She does.
For him, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Look at this. Vice President, during my meeting with Zelensky, look at this. It's like documentary production level. Look at this stuff. Yo, Kamala, you couldn't pick up your phone and say, guys, can we do a quick video for the people who are affected by this disaster? I need to say
5
something.
minutes. 5 freaking minutes. It's not that hard for her to do.
I mean, I'd take 30 seconds.
Right.
I think the conclusion, though, has to be that is actually too difficult for her to do.
Yeah, I don't know why we're acting surprised. Like, we know she sucks at her job, so this isn't surprising that she takes some, half-hearted photo and just posts that. And maybe she does this on purpose to piss us off. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like it's just the least amount of effort for something that would be easy to do. Just make a quick video.
I don't know. I think Hannah Claire nailed it. Kamala Harris is a low competency individual.
Amen.
Yeah.
Do you think this
Her
affects?
staff is struggling with it. That's what this tells me. If they could have gotten a nice little 30-second video, I'm sure they would have. But they know they can't, so they go with the stock image.
Do you think this will affect the state in voting for her from anybody?
Yes,
by her not going?
absolutely.
You do?
Oh, it's going to be the talk of the town, man. We're talking about 2 swing states. Major swing states, they're leaning Trump already, and the response is going to be Trump showed up. I'm telling you, look, let's cast aside all the politics, and I'll say this. I appreciate the response from Kamala Harris on the @VP X account. I wish she went a little further with it because I want to see something more genuine. Fine. Politically, Donald Trump was there. And I tell you, man, there's going to be some middle-aged dude who's not very political with a tear in his eye, seeing Donald Trump walk up to him, shake his hand and say, we're here with you. Let me know what you need. We will take care of you. And he's going to be like, thank you, Mr. President. And Kamala's not there. And even if it's not a negative thing, it's an absence thing. There's not going to be the person who walks up and sees Kamala and says, thank you for being here. She's not going to have those interactions. Trump is going to massively gain from showing that he's willing to come down to do this, even if it's just political. And I will add one more thing. If Trump's whole motivation is, I'm going to trick these people into voting for me and giving me power by showing up to the disaster zone and assuring them I'm there for them, I'm like, okay, I'll take it, It's better than not being there.
That's what you had that Newsweek article up earlier. The Democrat strategist who was saying, like, Kamala needs to go, it was talking about how the image is really impactful. Like, people, especially where I think it's, I'll have to pull it in a second, but like, we're at 35 days away from the election. 35 days. And they will remember that there were no images of her on the ground. They know that Trump was there. They know she isn't. Like, this is an intentional choice by her campaign. I default to either, number one, she didn't want to go, which I personally feel like is the case. But also, there is a chance that her staff was like, we want to go back to D.C. You should be in D.C. acting like the president, and that's better. They are out of touch with what makes people relatable. That's why they're having such a hard time marketing Kamala Harris.
Well, Trump's going to win rural Georgia anyway. So, I mean, it's going to come down to Atlanta, the bigger counties. So, I don't know. I don't know if this
What about North Carolina?
I don't know. I mean, the governor's in some hot water right now, which I think that was all overblown. But
The lieutenant governor,
what is it? What's his name?
the Republican.
Mark Robinson.
Because they're an interesting state because the governor's a Democrat, the lieutenant governor's a Republican. That's one of the reasons you can indicate that it's a swing state. But, it doesn't seem like it's on lock. I mean, there's a reason she's spending a lot of time in Nevada.
I want to ask you guys about this photo, too, as we're talking about fake photos. Look at this one. For those who are listening, Tim Walz and wife Gwen Walz cheering on Minnesota with nobody on the field. And so I saw this picture, and you can see here, it looks like we got there's about 30 to 40 yards. No, what is it? 30 yards where we can't see what's going on, past the 40-yard line or whatever. And you got Tim Walz and his wife, and they're cheering and standing up. Other people are just sitting in lounge chairs, not really doing much. One guy's on his phone. And the implication that people are bringing up is that this is a staged photo, that somebody went, hey, can we get you guys cheering real quick for a photo we'll post? And it looks so fake to me. I don't know. I mean, look, you don't have to cheer for the team only when they're on the field. Maybe the people in the stands were cheering. Maybe they announced, like, ladies and gentlemen, Governor Tim Walz is here in the field, and then he stood up and started cheering or something. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, they cropped it. So to try to give us the impression that maybe there is, somebody on the field, I think that's 100% a photo op for sure.
It's photo fake.
Yeah, I mean, they're just dancing around to get a picture. Yeah, and I think Beto O'Rourke was at the game with him. I mean,
Right.
It's all just a publicity stunt. But that's why politics are so lame, because I think I said this last time on your show. Politics is just like the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. So it's like, it gets us all involved in it. But at the end of the day, it's all fake. It's all BS. None of these politicians give a crap about us. So I don't know. This looks so fake. Because it's not even the right orientation. It's not even like the perfect 16:9. It's a little off. So it looks like it was cropped. And I think they cropped it to give us the illusion that there is somebody on the field and they are cheering for somebody, when in reality they're not at all.
The people on Reddit are claiming that it's a psyop, it's propaganda, because there's literally 30 yards of field not in the picture. There's plenty of actual things to rag on in politics. Why do this? And then some people are saying maybe a punt is taking place.
I was thinking that for a second.
I liked your idea that they're announcing him, but it's hard to tell what the people, like, I kind of feel like those people you're seeing lots of backs of heads.
Right, they're looking the other way.
Yellow on the hats, It would look slightly different if people's faces were turned towards him.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, quick, we need a cheering photo, so then we'll just head out for the day, maybe he really does love Michigan football, or maybe he just wants to get the good photo and leave. A lot of Instagram girls are like that.
Well, I really look, honest question, guys, right? Because I think about this from time to time. Am I biased? Am I biased? And then I take a look at everything and I'm like, okay, what do I think of JD Vance? Vanilla yogurt, a little bit, He's kind of no disrespect. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a savvy guy. He's a smart guy. But he's not a Donald Trump-like figure in a lot of ways. And then I see Jon Stewart on his show with Pete Buttigieg, and he's like, oh, man, I've never seen anything like this. To go from being the heir of MAGA to, I just don't like cat ladies. Like, what happened? And I was like, wait, I don't understand. Like, what's his point? His point was that J.D. Vance made a crass comment a while ago, and now they're running it. Jon Stewart's acting like that was an apocalyptic scandal, which seemed so fake to me. And then I see Tim Walz lying about his military service record and trying to imply over and over again they served in war. And I'm like, wow, that's a big deal. In some instances, that's illegal. And then people tell me, for having those views, I'm biased in favor of Trump and J.D. Vance. And I'm like, well, J.D. Vance just seems kind of like, no disrespect, but kind of a boring guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, it's worse than that. Kamala Harris said that she worked at McDonald's. And then when she got called out for not working.
Valor.
Yeah, it's stolen McValor. And those people work their butts off cooking those fries all day long. But, this is how we know that she was lying, because when people looked into it, they called corporate, couldn't find any records of her working there. She took it off her campaign website. So, yes, it said that, yes, and they took it down. So if they'll lie about, if they will lie about flipping burgers, then they'll lie about it.
Well, she grew up in a middle-class family. So.
Yeah, right.
That meme is so great, where it's like, the joke is, a his team loses, and then they come to him and they're like, what did you do wrong? What could you have improved? And he goes, well, I come from a middle-class family. You've got like a banker who's being questioned on lost funds. Listen, I come from a middle-class family.
Or the Tucker Carlson asking Putin why he invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, I come from a middle-class family.
No, I think you're right. I think that there is a willingness to lie or inflate. And again, I think this goes back to a genuine belief that they can demand that the American public accept them. I wonder with Tim Walz, if Jon Stewart is making fun of JD Vance, fine. This is just part of, the political show in America. But Pete Buttigieg also went on paternity leave when there was another natural disaster in America. I mean, this is something that mirrors a lot of what the Biden administration does. And I don't know that you can say, personality aside, it's like, you don't have to like their personalities. Let's look at their records. I think even if you don't like his voting records, JD Vance shows up. Tim Walz is apparently showing up to not even the start of a football game.
I gotta give a quick shout out to Libby Emmons' son Charlie, for her joke. Where I'll tell it to you. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris who?
We're not taking questions right now. That's a good one.
And when I think about like Waltz, when I think about Kamala, and there's a lot of people that don't like Trump, but we know who Trump is. Like, he is who he is. I feel like he's never tried to say that he's a middle class guy. He admits that he got $1 million from his dad, and he's this ultra wealthy guy. Like, we know that. And at least he's honest, and that's why I like Donald Trump. But these people, like Kamala Harris, that says she's a middle-class family, but she lived in Canada. Her mom was a professor at Berkeley, which is like Palo Alto, California. It's like a beautiful place.
Yeah, Palo Alto's the real nice.
I mean, she tries to act like she was born in the hood or something. Like she grew up in Oakland. I don't even think she lived there very long. So, I mean, at least with Trump, we know who he is. With Kamala, we have no idea. With Walz, we have no idea. He lies about his military.
Just an example, real quick, about we can't trust the Walz-Harris campaign. Example would be Mr. Tim Pool here. So they've been known for lying.
Oh yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's not.
I'm suing them for defamation.
It would be nothing new.
If you appreciate our standing up for ourselves, for those that aren't familiar, we are suing the Kamala Harris campaign for defaming me. If you appreciate that we stand up for ourselves and fight against fake news, become a member at timcast.com.
Boom.
Anyway, let's jump to this story. From the Post-Millennial, Tim Walz appears to flip off Michigan college kids shouting Trump 2024 baby at a college football game. Look, I don't believe it, but it's hard because it does kind of look like he's flicking off these kids passively as he's walking past them. Maybe he's pointing at somebody. I don't know.
I think he's just socially awkward. I mean, because you kind of do it like this. You
think that's what he was doing? Here, look at the video. Look at. Here's the video.
Trump 2024, baby.
He was getting.
That is weird to hold it like that. That is kind of.
It could be his index. Did he twist his hand and hold his hand like this so it looks like his middle finger? I mean, I feel
that's his middle finger. That's his middle.
I seen a video, a photo of him with just
that looks like his middle
that
finger.
Looks like his
But it
middle
does
finger.
also look like he's pointing with his middle finger, as opposed to turning to the
can't
cameraman
do
who's
that.
clearly on the side.
nobody
and,
points.
flipping him off.
No, but so you
Russians,
can
maybe?
you can hear the guy by the camera yell Trump 2024 baby, but there's other people booing him too.
True.
And so this story's gone pretty viral. It's got 21,000 likes, this tweet.
Jeez. And
could it have been that the guys are to his right yelling Trump 24, he waves, and then he does the middle finger off to the side, like pointing at him as he's walking past him? Look, I'm gonna still err on the side of it's a grainy video, and maybe he's pointing his finger in a weird way. But I got to be honest, why would you turn your wrist to the side and point like that to make your index finger look like your middle finger? It just doesn't make sense.
He's trying to show people this is how you stick a tampon, and if you're a boy in the boys' restroom, maybe you use that finger.
He's trying to make sure they understand.
So they understand.
Well,
Educational moment.
He spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's an important thing you got to understand in spending money in business. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows how to use it, you got nothing.
Exactly.
And so, well, shout out to Tim Walz then for trying to. But I don't know. Do you guys really think a VP candidate's going to flip people off in public at a big event like this?
Yeah, I mean, Trump probably would, and
that's why he's
and we appreciate Trump. Yeah,
it's true.
I think if Tim Walz did it on purpose, like just owned it and was like, yeah, I'm flipping that guy off, that would be much more relatable to a lot of Midwestern dads.
That's true.
And that's why I think he didn't do it. I think he just doesn't know how to operate. I think probably, he's socially awkward. Maybe he meant to do it, but kind of cowardly, chickened out, wouldn't make eye contact with anybody. But I think mostly he's probably gesturing in a weird way, and he's just milquetoast.
If he did come out and if he got asked about it, did you flip off those kids who are yelling at you? And he went, hey, look, I'm trying to have a good time, and these guys were calling me names. I don't care if you yell Trump, but one guy, he said something expletive, so I flipped him the bird. I'd actually respect that.
Yeah, me too. That'd be cool.
I'd be like, all right,
That's how you know it's 100% not happening.
I think he's just awkward. I think he didn't know what he's doing, and
You think he did flip him off?
I mean, I think he did it accidentally. Like he just pointed with his finger. I mean, you would think
his middle finger.
Which sounds weird, and I'm a conspiracy theorist. I just
Isn't that
don't
like counting like this? People count like this?
because like usually like I did it earlier, like you could kind of hide it and do it, you know, like that would seem like he's being more malicious. I don't think he's being malicious with this, is what I'm saying.
I generally just view him as a liar. Like this is what I was saying. I was talking about J.D. Vance, and what are the hit pieces they have on J.D. Vance? He criticized single cat ladies.
and
you know, and a
he had
specific.
sex with the couch, I think. That was his.
They made that. That's a ridiculous, weird thing to make
And
up. for.
everybody's had sex with the couch.
these-
Come
but these-
on.
That was 15 once.
yeah.
What?
I don't. It's a weird nonsense thing. Like he was ordering donuts, and they made fun of him for being weird when he ordered donuts.
Okay, wait. Now I had to actually get mad because as a fat guy myself, Tim, I've ordered donuts hundreds of times. In that video, he's like, just give me whatever. Do you say a dozen assorted? That video was weird. I'm just saying he did order the donuts wrong.
What do you mean?
Wait, what do you? Yeah, I missed it.
In that video, he's like, just give me whatever. I'm just saying, as a donut expert.
What are you talking about? That's what I do.
I don't know. It seemed
It's
like,
nothing, dude. Look, Tim
it's
Waltz.
like he never orders donuts. That's all I'm saying.
and it's
Maybe he
like
hasn't
Tim
done it
Waltz
for a long
lied about his
time.
military service.
Of course, and
I don't
that's
care
worse.
about donuts.
That's worse. But I also thought it was weird in that donut video. And now I'm ragging on JD Vance, and I obviously want Trump to win. But did you in that video? The woman's like, I don't want to be on camera, and I get told that all the time. I stream IRL. You know, you streamed out in the street, and you know when people are like don't want to be on camera. And then he had like no really answer to her back. Like he's about to be second in charge of the free world. I thought he'd have a little more swag. Be like, give me 6 chocolates, 6 glaze, baby. I mean, just a little bit of swag.
Yeah, he's vanilla.
Gonna turn
he's
into
vanilla
Theo
yogurt,
Vaughn all of a
man.
sudden?
Look.
I love ordering donuts. I'm an expert. I'm
JD
like,
Vance.
give me
is,
sausage rolls.
He's vanilla pudding, and it's okay because Donald Trump is like twist pretzel caramel, golden swirl, whatever weirdness. And so I think that's the point of choosing JD Vance. They know they got the weird, wild, and pizzazz with Trump, and they need a regular guy.
Like Pence, in a way.
Right.
I think
And
better than Pence, though.
Oh no, I'm not.
no,
I'm not
but-
disputing
but-
that fact. Yeah.
Pence was meant to be a stodgy suit, which was like, yes. And so they're like, we want a young guy. We want someone who's just straightforward, regular dude. And that's why they're trying to make him weird, because they're trying to align him and Trump in the same thing. Tim Waltz, they want something similar. They're like, we need an old white guy for Kamala Harris, like they did with Biden and Obama. But Tim Waltz lies about very bad things. Even when he got questioned on the stolen valor thing, he just said, my grammar's not so good.
As he said it for 19 years of his freaking life.
It was
And when
specifically
he misled people on the
care-uppers of
IVF
war.
stuff, I mean, he is
yeah.
constantly manipulating his messaging, and I think part of that is just to stay in favor of whoever he thinks will give him power. So he's willing to be the white guilt, goofy guy for Kamala Harris. If you look at his voting records, he was more moderate when he was in a district for Congress where there were more Republicans. When he became the governor, he became super progressive. I mean, I don't think he's someone who has a lot of strong values, and I accept that like there is a bias here. There are probably things that he would advocate for as a Democrat that I would just never be interested in. But he, in particular, as a person, has proved himself to be full of falsehood and manipulation. And I think that is what voters are taking away from him.
Well, now you really got me off track because when you bring up IVF, you heard when Michelle Obama said that she used IVF to have babies. Did you see that? She said that. She said that, and now everybody's saying, well, technically, a form of IVF is when you use a surrogate. So maybe she had a surrogate. She said that, and I think it was in the DNC.
Nah,
speech.
you'd say surrogate. You wouldn't say IVF.
She said IVF, but
I'm saying if she got IVF,
fact
she got
check
IVF.
me. But I think you can do IVF with a surrogate. And
You
can
would,
still say it was IVF.
I think, use IVF for a surrogate, but I think
You would
I
just
get what
say
you're saying.
surrogate.
You would say surrogate, right?
Well, unless you're trying to hide the fact that you're a boy, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, Michelle did say that she conceived with IVF. So
I think the most egregious thing was Tim Waltz pretending like he doesn't put chilies in his tacos.
Yeah, that's kind of absurd. The dude won an award and you think he's going to pass it off. Who anyway, tuna and what? He say mayo?
Well, he's
A
just
taco?
it's weirdly racist.
what is that? What he said to put?
You didn't see this whole scandal?
No, I didn't
The taco scandal?
I didn't see the taco scandal.
When Kamala Harris is talking,
Alex.
they did an ad, and
I know
she's
the
like,
gas where he didn't change his oil, right?
No.
He just pulled out
She
a
said,
clean oil
do you
filter.
have, do you like make tacos? He goes, I just eat white guy tacos. And she's like, what's that? Tuna and mayonnaise? And he goes, just beef and cheese. And she goes, do you season it? He goes like, no. And then she's like, what? He's like, the spiciest thing in Minnesota is black pepper. And she's like, he's got an award-winning taco casserole recipe with like chilies and peppers and
really?
onions. And like, it's this, he's trying to play off, I'm a stupid white guy. I don't know how to put chili in my food.
Well, white guy tacos is a thing where you just use ground beef and you don't add the taco seasoning. I think that's white guy tacos. So that is like a real recipe.
But probably he doesn't do that if he has an award-winning.
Yeah, I know.
taco
You think
hot
that you would
dish.
add a little cumin and paprika.
I am offended by this, and we looked up the math. There have been, I think, what's the estimate? It's like 10 to 20,000 people died in wars over spices, over black pepper. Like tens of thousands of people were
That
killed.
was a currency.
And the number made it, you can talk about like, but the Civil War was way more and World War II was crazy. Like, we're talking about hundreds of years ago. There were a lot less people. And they got in these boats and they traveled around and there were spice wars. They were like, we will have black peppercorn. And then they just like were blowing ships up. I'm like, dude, now to pretend like I'm a white guy, I don't know how to put seasoning in my tacos. It's like, bro, white. You know what I would accept? If Kamala Harris was like, I bet you put all sorts of saffron and garlic and spices and curry in your food because you're an evil white colonizer who went and blew up countries to steal it. I'd be like, well, they did do that, right?
Technically, J.D. Vance would use the curry because his wife's Indian, though, right?
I like curry.
I love curry. No,
I think one of the other problems is that they're constantly saying, oh, well, you men, you just got to suck it up and vote for the girl. Don't let the woman thing be an issue. But they also said that they picked Walz because he's going to appeal to, men in the Midwest. If you looked at this guy who is like prostrating himself as this goofy white guy caricature, would you look at him and say, yes, I want to cast my vote for this ticket because I feel like you represent me? Or would you be embarrassed? Would you be like, I'm not like this, and he's kind of making a mockery out of all of us?
He does not represent him and the Emhoff, the other guy they talked about his masculinity mentioned earlier today. Either of those folks do not represent or even make me or anyone think that they're masculine in any way, shape, or form. There's no way.
And I think it's weird, basically they didn't choose Shapiro because he's Jewish, so they do want this guy to be like ultra white.
And there's a lot to add on this too, but I'll save it a little bit. But I think we now know why they didn't choose Shapiro. It's not just that he's Jewish; it's that Israel is ramping things up, and they knew it was going to happen. We'll get into that in the next one, though.
I want to ask you about the all the dads and TV shows for the last couple of years. They're all big, fat, goofy, doofy loser guys. And if he's supposed to relate to men who watch TV shows, is this
He's Homer Simpson.
Yeah, like Al Bundy, Homer Simpson. Yeah, that is.
Nah, Al Bundy was aggressive.
He was cool though. He was
He was like a loser.
He was a loser,
salesman,
but he was also like kind of aggressive.
Hilarious. Yeah, I loved Al Bundy.
Homer he's like nice but dumb.
Family Guy, bunch of stuff.
Peter Griffin is not nice at all. He's like really an awful person. Like when he got the Peter copter and destroyed the yard, and then Joe was screaming, "How do you afford these things?"
I think he would have had to pick like a Red Foreman from that 70s Show character where he's like hardworking and also surly, but ultimately deeply devoted. He takes in the friend whose parents abandoned. You know what I mean? I think that would have been relatable to like the TV connoisseur Midwestern dad, but that's not what Tim Walz is. He doesn't seem very tough. He is constantly caught in lies, and he is willing to just be this, I don't know, Falstaffian joke. And I just don't think people want that right now. It's to make Kamala Harris look tougher and to make her look like she's more put together, but it's not to win any voters. It's about her self-confidence issues.
Well, let's talk about horrifying things, I suppose.
Nice.
We got this story from Daily Mail. Israel goes in. IDF confirms boots on the ground in southern Lebanon as bombs rain down from the sky after a day of ratcheting tensions. Yo, this is absolutely insane what is happening now. I almost didn't believe it, but of course I can believe it. The Israeli military last night confirmed it had launched a ground invasion of Lebanon as fears mount that the escalation could plunge the Middle East into an all-out war. After a day of ratcheting tensions in the war-torn region, the Israel Defense Forces announced that it had begun localized and targeted raids against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. These targets are located in villages close to the border and pose an immediate threat to Israeli communities in northern Israel. So I'm just going to say this, because I don't know how much more there is to add with the ongoing tensions and escalation of war in the Middle East, but I think this is why Kamala Harris did not choose Josh Shapiro. It's not just that he was Jewish, and they were concerned because there are elements of the left that are deeply anti-Semitic, and there are elements of the left that are deeply anti-Israel, and Josh Shapiro had spoken positively about Israel. But you combine that with the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration knew that Israel was going to be ramping up this conflict. I do not believe for a second, considering it's only been a couple months, that Israel did not, and the U.S. did not have intelligence on the plans. The cell phone attack and the walkie-talkie attack was 15 years in the making. U.S. had to have known about that. U.S. had to have known about Israel's plans, or at least the possibility. And I imagine Kamala then said, choosing Josh Shapiro as a liability because the progressive left hates Israel, and many of them are anti-Semitic. But you add in the fact they're going to be moving in on Lebanon, that war is escalating. When this stuff goes down, the only thing that you will hear in the press is questions of Josh Shapiro over his stated support of Israel in the past, and they would make it a campaign issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just me saying this is going to sound anti-Semitic, but aren't we getting a little tired of how we're about to go into World War III because of Israel? I mean, is that bad for me to say that, Tim? That's a little frustrating that we're going to have to go probably fight a war with Iran. I support Israel. I don't like Hamas. I'm just saying it's inevitable.
But I think you look at the history of Israel in the United States, and I don't see a difference. So,
well, AIPAC controls every election. I don't like that.
I completely disagree. I think
You don't
AIPAC
think
is.
so?
I think AIPAC is deeply influential and controls a lot through their money. It wasn't. I don't think it was. Was it AIPAC who funded the opposition to Bowman and Bush?
Yeah.
It was AIPAC.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and they didn't get Ilan Omar out. But you know the conspiracy that JFK wanted AIPAC to register as a foreign agent, and then conveniently.
Well, I know that.
You've
But then,
seen that, I
but
mean-
then you say conveniently is connecting a dot that we don't necessarily know we can connect.
That's true.
My point is this: people are only going to vote for a candidate that they want to support. And I was having a conversation when there were two rallies over the weekend: Rescue the Republic and Rage Against the War Machine. And we were talking to a couple people, and I said the only reason AIPAC is influential is because most Americans want to support Israel and like what Israel is doing. So AIPAC can target that, run ads, and they get the support. When we have Riley Moore on this show, and he outright says he supports Israel and thinks we should be defending them, I'm like, he's a Freedom Caucus guy, but he really does support and agree with funding and helping Israel. Many members of Congress are not lying to you and are not being tricked into supporting Israel. People in this country do.
You don't have to be tricked if they're paying you lots of money, Tim. I mean,
I think that's I think.
I served and I've trained with those guys for 2 weeks over in Israel, and out of all I have the French, who I also we have I don't recall them all, but we trained with them, and they were the most. I went to Haifa, Israel. They're the most like America. The people were like the coolest people that I've ever met in all the branches. So, from my experience serving and training with them. Oh, you!
I was swatting a bug.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
What did you think? I was like, get out of here, Raymond. Go away.
But yeah, that's so genuine. I am nowadays. This kind of stuff's going differently, but genuinely before all this mayhem and World War III, possibly, I supported them the most.
Dude, we've basically, Israel is our project, right? With all the
or
funding
you
we've
could
given.
say that we're Israel's project.
Yeah, 75 years ago, when we start funding literally everything, when we're sending them all the resources, when we're like, we control basically whether or not they're going to have military defenses. It's insane to me how people are like, but Israel controls us. And I'm like, dude, Israel has its interests for sure, but just I really do think it's simple math. The size of the U.S. is the amount of external influence it has, and the size of Israel is the amount of influence that it has. So it certainly does influence back in a lot of ways, like we saw with the elections of Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. Definitely has an impact. But the reality is, if you go out and poll the average person, they're going to be defending Israel.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not anti-Israel whatsoever, but I do think this is also weird, is that during this battle, versus occupied versus unoccupied, or however you want to call it, the Gaza Strip melee, that they paused the war temporarily to give them vaccines. Did you see that, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
When?
Wait, what?
Recently,
Couple weeks
yes.
ago, yeah.
They stopped. They did a ceasefire.
stopped?
Israel did a ceasefire to give
To allow
Palestinians
health workers to go in and give, because
vaccine.
it was smallpox, right? Smallpox. was
either
big.
smallpox or like
That
polio.
makes perfect sense.
Polio.
I know, but don't you think that's a little weird? Like, you want to kill somebody, but then you also want to vaccinate them?
Because you don't want the diseases spreading into your neighboring country where you've got secret tunnels underneath where people are running in and could be poisoning groundwater.
And it's worse PR than bombing people, I feel.
Well, what was it?
Yeah, that's true, too.
What was what's that? Jose Andres, his World Central Kitchen. They blew up that thing.
That's crazy.
That was pretty bad.
Well,
Like, they were
but
just trying to
look-
give people food.
Sure. And if the argument is Israel is a bit reckless and there's massive collateral damage,
I think that's
and
fair.
and reckless maybe understatement, maybe callous. Like, I got no problem. Criticize Israel for all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me that we've been the principal funders of Israel. Largely for we're going on 75 years. When did we start funding this? And then people are like, yeah, the U.S. may have funded everything they're doing, but they control us the whole time. And I'm like, no, we have been trying to overthrow Iran forever. We have been meddling in Iran forever. We have been invading Iraq, none of these things are directly related to us being controlled by Israel, whatever. It's U.S. interests. We went to Libya because Gaddafi was interfering with the petrodollar. Saddam Hussein was interfering with the petrodollar. Israel basically is a vassal state that does what we want, but they also exert in-kind influence back upon us. I think that's true, but I think this is U.S. interests largely.
Well, it's funny you bring up Libya because Muammar Gaddafi was actually, he was beloved by his people supposedly, and that he actually had a dam that gave water to like hospitals to inner Africa, and they blew those dams up, so like they couldn't get clean water. And then now, the only place right now where you can buy a slave is in Libya. They have slave auctions.
Not the only place.
Well, okay, maybe there's Uyghur slaves in China, I guess, but
Alex, I got bad news for you.
well, I went to Libya. I bought one.
There
I
are
had to return it,
child
though.
slaves being transferred across the
Oh, I know. And that's what they say. Oh, we need clean energy, yet you have to use children to mine the batteries or the cobalt.
Yes, but there are horrifying crimes happening on our southern border with childs being brought in as slaves into this country. Like, slavery exists. It's a horrifying thing. But you are correct. Libya, basically collapsed, turned into this disgusting slave trade, reignited the North African slave trade, and it was because Gaddafi was largely interfering with Western plans and on the petrodollar.
He wanted to he wanted to, back it by the African dinar or whatever their
gold
currency
dinars.
is. Yeah.
He wanted a union. He wanted to create a powerful bloc, and they were like, take him out.
To make his country stronger. So he was being Libya first, and Hillary Clinton in America didn't.
And Hillary Clinton said, we came, we saw he died, and she laughed. And she laughed about it. These people are nuts. But like, my point is this. You look at that, and you look at what we know she's capable of. You look at the debates in 2015 and 16 with Donald Trump, when on the debate stage, Hillary was like, yeah, we should have a no-fly zone over Syria. And they're like, your generals have warned you that would be a declaration of war on Russia. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, we have to do it.
Yeah.
You cannot put a no-fly zone over Syria. The Russians have a naval base in Tartus. That would be directly telling Russia, war. You cannot operate your military operation. We are asserting our authority over your military operation. I look at all that, and then like what Israel is fighting with Lebanon and Iran, and there's some Jordanian conflict and things like this. And I'm like, well, that's regional. But the U.S. is principally, in my opinion, funding and driving all of the chaos across the Middle East. And then, of course, Israel has an inverse influence on us for their benefit, but it still does align with what many Americans want and they support and defend.
Yeah. And
that's the only reason any of it's possible. If the American people genuinely were like, we don't like Israel, AIPAC would have limited influence, if any at all.
True.
It's that you go to members of Congress, like even Lauren Boebert, and they're going to just go off on how much they love Israel. And you know what a big component of it is religious. A lot of Christian evangelicals are like, that is the Holy Land, and we have allies there, and we will defend it. And then you look at the secular progressive left, and they don't like it. And
No, they really don't. I think that it will be the difference in this election, I think.
And I don't want to go to World War III, brother.
No, I don't. But I'm saying if
I agree.
If you have Jill Stein, a shout out to my mom, Jill, love you. If she can sway enough of the Green Party voters, which I don't know if that's actually realistic.
You saw that report?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they're saying. I mean, even AOC, my favorite big booty Latina, was calling her out. Because,
Jill Stein outright said, I will stop Kamala from winning.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't care about Trump. I'm stopping Kamala.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think there's a generation of American voters who aren't as aware of the history, like didn't see the relationship with Israel become what it is today. And so they do look at it as like, if you're progressive, like, why are we involved in this thing that is classified as genocide? And maybe if you're conservative, like, why are we sending so much money abroad when we have problems here? That sort of historic tie to this issue and the relationship that America has with Israel, there's not the same kind of reverence that maybe some of the older people that in Congress have currently.
I think Clint Russell made a really great point last week when he said, if you as a nation can't exist without America's support in perpetuity, then you should not exist. And so
3,000%, yeah.
But it's true. Like, Israel needs.
So if you don't have America's support, you shouldn't exist.
No. He's saying if Israel
couldn't survive without America.
Israel can't survive without America's support in perpetuity. So his point was basically, we're gonna give Israel as much funding for a short amount of time to make sure that they get to the point where they're sustainable and don't get wiped off the map. But if the idea is we have to fund them forever, that's insane.
Agreed.
And I agree too. There are challenges in this whole issue between Ukraine and Israel. I'm not a fan of any funding for Ukraine.
Yeah, we've given a lot more money to the Ukraine than Israel.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in 50, 60 years of funding Israel, we've given Ukraine more in 3. Absolutely insanity. Yeah. So I tell everybody, like, by all means, criticize Israel, everything, whatever you want to do. And then let's look at how much we're spending on Ukraine. That's got to stop. I can understand why there is a begrudging support for Israel for a lot of people, even libertarians who are like, we don't want to fund it, but we're going to slowly try and figure that out. Because if we were to stop providing Israel with military support immediately, they're going to get flattened. And it could expand to escalation of chaos. That's my concern. And Ben Shapiro made this point. I think it's disturbing to consider, but I think it should be considered. If Hezbollah and Iran mount a massive attack on Israel, and Israel says, we have no support, so we're going Samson option, launch a nuke, it's going to engulf everybody. It's going to spread like wildfire. And that is a disgusting reality, but it's true. And that says to me, our best interests are resolution of the conflict, and then we're going to start winding down our involvement and support for you because of these reasons. So we wish you the best of luck. We want to make sure you're able to sustain yourself, and then we're out of here.
Does Israel have nukes? I don't know this.
The rumors are that they have at least one.
Okay.
And there's something called the Samson option, which is if Israel feels that it's about to be wiped out, an existential threat, they will launch a nuke at whoever need be. If that were to happen, the escalation is obvious. Yeah. The region is going to ignite. It's going to spread into other regions. It's going to be a major disaster. And hopefully it stays regional. I don't think it's a good enough reason for perpetual support for a country. It's at least an argument for why whatever withdrawal we have has to be tempered and reasoned. Otherwise, we get Afghanistan 2.0 with nukes dropping. It's hard reality, man. I know a lot of people are like, no, cut them off now. And I'm like, Afghanistan was bad enough, right?
Yeah, we don't need another 20 years of that mess.
We don't need Joe Biden's abandoning Air Force bases, letting extremist psycho groups come in and take our weapons and have billions of dollars in weapons. So it's a rock and a hard place. I think the U.S. has made generational mistakes with their Middle Eastern strategy, one of which is entrenching us in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Israel.
Did they think we were too strong? They thought that we could just go in there and do what we wanted? I feel like that's what they thought. USA, we can go in there, get those fake weapons of mass destruction, and then to take over and turn them into a democracy somehow, because even though they were never one to begin with, like we could change the world.
Yes, because like South Korea. I think the neocons were looking at South Korea and they said, look at this. We've occupied them for 50 years. And they don't say occupy. They say we have allied with the South Koreans. And look at their culture. Plastic surgery, K-pop.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They're changing faces real quick. They change his whole full faces nowadays.
It is common for South Koreans to get plastic surgery to look more like Americans. And the idea was we can keep a military presence there forever. And after a couple generations, we've turned them into something similar to us. I take a look at what's going on with all of this Middle Eastern stuff, and this is what the U.S. has been trying to do. And it's largely why you point out in Israel, they're really cool and they're like Americans and we get along because America has been funding and supplying and supporting and helping them out to create that culture. I think they look at Afghanistan much like Israel as well. How long have we been in Israel? 50, 60 years or something. And people talk about, they're a secular democracy, or not secular, but they're like a liberal democracy in the region and we need their support. And the U.S. wants to do that to every other country in the area. Gotcha. Spreading democracy, they call it. All right, but let's stop talking about everyone's favorite subject and talk about this one. We got from the Daily Mail. Ladies and gentlemen, the Netflix CEO has backed Kamala Harris and lost millions of subscribers. I didn't even know he did this, okay? I don't really watch Netflix anyway. They say Reed Hastings, the co-founder, said he was backing, not the CEO, is he the CEO? He's a co-founder, said he was backing Kamala Harris. Hastings, still serving as their chairman, and the face of the company, said he donated $7 million to the Democratic candidate's campaign as well. The race of cancellations, known as churn, nearly tripled in the U.S. after Hastings' endorsement on July 22nd. Netflix, the market leader by some margin, with 280 customers globally and 84 million in America, 280 million globally, they mean, typically enjoys the lowest churn rate in the industry. The cancellations coincided with Donald Trump supporters calling for conservatives to axe their subscription in response to Hastings backing Harris. Well, you know what they say, Alex? They say, get woke, go broke.
Well, I think they're going to be fine. Cuties 2 is coming out soon, so their customer base will love that. So I think they'll be fine with subscriptions.
I heard. Go ahead.
I was just say, do you think the Hulu CEO right now is like, I'm going to stay really, really quiet, and
Hulu's
we're not
Disney,
going to say anything? Hulu or whatever the other one.
Yeah, is Hulu owned by Disney? But
Pretty sure Hulu is Disney.
There's some dynamic between the two of them. No, I mean, it is interesting that they are targeting the churn rate to this one. Actually, Netflix has a ton of stuff that make people unhappy. They have all these TV shows that people say are extremely woke, but they're marketed towards children. It makes me wonder if they're it's not that I mean, if it's anti-Kamala Harris energy, that's hilarious. But it also makes me wonder if there are other factors at play that they're not kind of calculating.
I don't know. I feel less bad that I've been using the same Netflix subscription as 20 other Haitian people that I met.
You're just sharing it?
Yeah, we're just all sharing.
Well, they're getting rid of. They're putting like pins on the
I
accounts.
know they're cracking down. It's ridiculous.
Where they were giving charging extra if you had too many accounts sharing the same profile.
I heard that Kevin Feige over at Marvel was firing anyone who can be considered an activist. Have you heard this?
No, but that's kind of smart.
Well, right. And so Disney loses $1 billion because they were producing garbage activist films. You see the Marvels?
Well, I know the Acolyte. Is that what it was called? I mean,
oh yeah, dude.
How can you mess up Star Wars? You could literally do anything with Star Wars, and people will watch it, and they still have to make it gay and trans. It's very weird.
Oh yeah. Yep. The Force was female. That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
So this is funny. It's like Disney loses $1 billion making these films that are trash, and I love how we all predicted it. Going back like 7 years, you get Brie Larson. She's like, they say when Robert Downey Jr. leaves as Iron Man. They said Brie Larson as Captain Marvel will take over the franchise as the central figure, and she was so unlikable. She was diehard feminist, woke activist. Everybody hated it. So when they made the sequel, The Marvels, they ended up cutting the film down to like an hour or something, and then just pushed it out with limited marketing, and it bombed. They were like, nobody wants this, but we have to do it. So they did it, and it crashed. I think it's hilarious that after seeing all of that you could go to somebody and say, hey, Disney lost $1 billion doing this. Reed Hastings is just like, I'm going to go endorse Kamala Harris publicly. And it's just like, okay, you're going to lose a lot of money, dude.
Yeah, but Tim, you know this. They don't care about money. That's why Fox News fired Tucker Carlson when his show was #1. So they don't care about ratings. ABC, Roseanne's show's #1. They fire her. So do these companies actually care about making money, in your opinion? You really?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think what happens for a lot of these companies is they make so much money. They're sitting there being like, we got too much money. We don't know what to do with it.
That's what I think.
So they're just like, I mean.
Or they think their influence is more important than the money that they make than their bottom line.
Or they're a cult.
Or they
Cult is a good answer for that, yeah.
Yeah, and so the mission is the point, and the currency doesn't matter. But you know what it is, too? What's interesting? What does money do for you, Alex? Let me ask you.
Well, I mean, I'll sometimes get an appetizer as well as a dessert when I go out. If I
Boom, you get two, right?
Yeah.
Money, but what does money do for Netflix and Disney?
Nothing.
Well, it allows them to hire people to run servers and to make movies and things like that, right? But at a certain point, when your profits are so massive, you're like, if we added 3%, I mean, I guess, right? Maybe the stock will improve or something. But for the most part, it's just, we can make any movie we want right now, right? So what does it really matter? When you get to that point, then you control everybody. You can fire anybody. You can tell people how to think. And so the institutions have become so entrenched that money doesn't matter. They're thinking, I don't need money to control a person. Right? I go to somebody and say, I need you to do a job. I'll pay $1,000. They know I want more. I say, okay, $2,000. Now I've gotten you to do what I want you to do. And then there's nefarious ways to use money to influence people, like, extortion or whatever. That's all illegal. And so you're at a certain point where you're like, I don't need to extort somebody. I can just call them a racist. So everyone's already on edge as if they're going to be extorted. Netflix doesn't need money. They just say to you, you're going to do this job. Otherwise, you'll never work anywhere else again because we are all aligned in the cult. So you don't even need money at that point when you've got ideology behind you. But now they're losing money. It's taken away their power. You got Daily Wire's massive success with Am I Racist? We just put out a song, Coming Home. Go to getcominghome.com, buy the song on iTunes. These cultural endeavors that we are seeing are pushing back. And so, again, like I was saying, reportedly, Kevin Feige went through all the producers he had that work on these films and said, and just tried to find anybody who was an activist and just fired him. It's a rumor. I don't know if it's true. But it would make sense because Marvel was like, they were doing $1 billion films. Every film was $1 billion. And then when they started getting to this weird era with like the Marvels, it started going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense how you can have that franchise and lose money considering, you remember how excited people were for like Ant-Man and all these new movies. And then now nobody gives a, I mean, I haven't.
Yeah, it's over.
I mean, yeah.
Like Star Wars, nobody gives an F anymore.
Yeah, it's like nobody cares.
Because they're just not good.
And like people would like with the end credit scene, you know how it'd have some cool end credit scenes.
Yeah, I used to love that.
Coming out in a year, and people would talk about it.
Dude,
all that hype's gone.
The Eternals was awful, and they had an end credit scene with like Harry Styles.
What?
And it was completely meaningless. It was like it didn't do anything. It just become all generic styrofoam garbage. That's all it is. Netflix doesn't even have anything. Was there anything on Netflix to watch?
The Vince McMahon documentary. Is Zachary Levi going to lose his job?
So that's crazy too. Yo, that guy is amazing. I met him the other day at the event. Zachary Levi, he played Shazam. So he did. They say he's a Hollywood A-lister, and he came out and endorsed Donald Trump. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn by saying it, but I asked him if are there going to be repercussions, dude? You endorse it, and he said, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "But I'm."
Said it so like that, like, oh yeah, sure.
He's like, "I'm still working. I've got films and projects that I'm working on." And he said something that was really interesting. He says, looking at everything that's going on, it's what do I really care about? And I care about this. But he's an RFK Jr. Democrat. That's his thing. So his support of Trump is just. He's like, I want to get RFK Jr. in there, and Trump's going to give RFK Jr. a lot of power in his administration. I mean, that picture of RFK Jr. and Trump shaking hands.
Oh, with the blowing up in the background?
Man, that's historic. That is unity. I am so inspired. So, I hope he does well. I hope he doesn't see any negative ramifications from this, but he's a nice guy. He's a good dude.
Well, there's all these Hollywood people that used to always talk about like Aleister Crowley and like how they, do all this occult stuff. Is this the new counterculture, being a conservative in Hollywood? Because secretly there are conservatives in Hollyod. Supposedly they have like meetings.
Yeah, but
and stuff.
I mean, Zachary's not even conservative.
They're all in the movie Reagan,
But this is the crazy thing. Like, we go to this event yesterday, Rescue the Republic. Like, Brandon Strock's there, and he's a guy who used to be liberal. Now he's a conservative. As conservative as you can be as a gay man. I mean, that is a factor for a lot of conservatives.
For sure.
But I'm seeing a bunch of liberals there. And I'm like, that's really amazing. All these like former liberals, disaffected liberals, and RFK Jr. Democrats here at this event with Trump supporters. And, Zachary, I think he's a liberal guy. He's an RFK Jr. Democrat. And his whole thing is, I'm standing by Trump. Well, I've been saying this. In 2020, I said Trump should bring in Tulsi Gabbard. I can't tell you, seeing RFK Jr., Tulsi, and Trump in one administration is just like, yo, we've got the dream team here. It's like a mega group. It's
I freaking love it.
Yeah, I would have liked Tulsi over JD Vance. I just think that would.
You think so?
I mean, personally,
I think he would have lost his base too heavily. I think she's great. I think she's really interesting, and she could be an advisor. But he's down with a lot of rural white voters. I think there's a reason to strategically pick JD Vance. I think what's interesting is that Trump is a deal maker, and so he looked around and said, "I want to be president. I think I am the man for the job, and I also want to give the American people what they want. What do they want? They want to be healthier. They don't want to go to war. Yeah. They want to have an effective government, which maybe means that we have to close some parts of the government that aren't working." And so he just ran a campaign that effectively said, I'm going to try and deliver that. Like, it's meaningful that he went to the Libertarian Convention. They are a major third party in America, and said, hey, I will put a libertarian in my cabinet.
Yeah.
There was no equal response from Kamala Harris. She suggested maybe she would think about putting a Republican in her cabinet, but she didn't give any, grace to the Libertarian Party. She didn't give any grace to the Green Party. She said, we're Democrats, and all the Republicans who endorse me are basically saying that their party's bad and the Democratic Party's the best. Whereas Trump is really reaching across not just aisles, but into different political ideology groups and saying, like, I want to work with you to deliver for the people. And I think that's really interesting.
Do you think Trump went too far when he said that he would pardon P. Diddy on day one if he's reelected?
Well, wait, what?
He never
what?
said this.
He did. He said he was at those freak-offs and they weren't that bad. And he said the baby oil, they just needed that.
You want the freak-offs back?
I want the freak-offs back. I'm mad that I never made it to one.
I watched the Mad TV skit from 2009. I posted on my ex, and it's they were making fun of P. Diddy with Hannah Montana taking her to one of the parties doing cocaine off someone's hooker's butt, and he was recording it with his phone the whole time. So they even knew.
I mean, they all know this stuff.
They knew.
So there was that bit in Family Guy where Stewie runs through the mall naked saying, help, help, I've just escaped Kevin Spacey's basement.
Oh, jeez.
And people were like, what did Seth MacFarlane know?
He knew.
Because didn't he also make a Weinstein comment or whatever?
Yes, I believe so. I believe it sounds familiar. I think a lot of folks did.
Yeah, I think Harvey Weinstein, they knew
Weinstein?
that he, or whatever, Weinstein. I mean, I think they knew he had a casting couch. I think that was. They say Gwyneth Paltrow slept with him, and she won the Oscar for. What was that movie? Shakespeare in Love, I believe. So I don't know. He was a creep, and it's like it's an open secret, I guess you call it.
They all knew, man.
Yes.
All right, let's jump to this story from the National Review.
Ooh.
John Kerry says the First Amendment is getting in the way of online censorship. I think he was saying more than just that. John Kerry says our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to hammer disinformation out of existence. What we need is to win the right to govern by hopefully winning enough votes that you are free to be able to implement change. Yo. He's outright saying if they win enough votes, they can get rid of the First Amendment.
I wonder if this is predictive programming that a lot of folks talk about, because we see a lot of news articles lately, at least I've seen, about Constitution and how it's getting in the way of real democracy or getting in the way of them winning. So like this is
That was
him.
the point.
Yeah.
The founding fathers
That's what I'm
intended that.
Yeah. So now we got this guy coming up here saying that it's in the way. So it's all kind of leading to get the American people, at least in their team, to be okay with them of changing the Constitution, amending the First Amendment to suit their needs.
I think Democrats don't really like social media. I remember that Axios article that said this election is particularly happening on a viral battlefield because a lot of conservatives are just better at being funny on the internet than they are. And to that end, he's saying, well, perhaps we need censorship to help us, rein in misinformation. I don't know if you guys saw Hillary Clinton's interview from the end of last week, but she was saying, well, the press is really under threat and it's so important, but also they need to get their messaging together. And they are really just, they're covering up for Donald Trump. I mean, she went to say, Donald Trump is attacking you and your freedom of report to consistently critiquing the press. I mean, she's been pro censorship as well. And so there's this level of like paying lip service to the things they know they're supposed to, right? We're Americans, we like freedom of speech, so they're going to acknowledge it, but they're also saying, this is really getting out of control and you guys are not falling in line with the things that we want to be said.
Too much freedom.
Well, I think it is obvious, though, that social media is their biggest threat because you have people like Tim who have now 50,000 live people watching, and that equates to even more people watching it later, and that's powerful, right? So they can't control the narrative on Tim. They can't control the narrative on social media. So that is the biggest threat. So I think the only way to wipe that out is probably to get rid of the First Amendment. That... It sounds crazy, but I think that's like their end game.
It's a huge nuisance for them.
They have to do it,
yeah. Deeply inconvenient.
And so, yeah, they're threatened by individuals being, now we're all journalists. And I think that's why they don't do as many kind of false flag or weird things, because now we all have a phone. So it's harder,
look at this,
to do this.
Look at this article from last week.
See?
Who wants to read it?
I do. Is it time to torch the Constitution?
No.
Ridiculous.
They say some scholars say that it's to blame for our political dysfunction and that we need to start over. Nope, you can leave.
Wrong.
Yeah, sorry.
Wrong.
But this was always the goal. And that's why I tell people national divorce is a big mistake. These people want a civil war or national divorce because it allows them to eradicate the Constitution with a finger snap. And then you got nothing.
Yeah, but when these people go to journalism school, and journalism school is all about the First Amendment, being unbiased, having different opinions.
Not anymore.
I know, not anymore, but I'm saying that's like the essence of it.
be
I just took some journalism classes. I don't have a journalism degree, but that's like what they teach you. That's like journalism 101. It's supposed to be unbiased. You're supposed to,
and now
always
they
seek
and
the
now
truth.
they teach you
Yeah.
and now they teach you in order to be unbiased, you have to truly understand. And so when you try to do both sides, even though one side is wrong, you're not being objective. You're actually being biased in favor of the incorrect. So if Donald Trump says something, it's wrong, you have to say Kamala is right and better than Trump. That's what they're telling people now. Yeah. The reality is, if you don't know which opinion is true and correct, you just say, Trump said X, Kamala said Y, thank you and have a nice day. Instead, they're doing, Donald Trump lied and Kamala said Y. And you're like, okay, that's the game.
What's the most popular unbiased media source in your opinion, Tim?
Probably Timcast.com.
Yes.
Well, I know. It's and
News.
Primetime Alex Stein. I'm always going to be unbiased. No, but for real, like what? I mean, we know the New York Times, like that's the top of the top, I guess you'd say, in journalism, right?
Allsides.com is really good because it just aggregates and then shows you the political leanings of each institution.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hannah Claire?
Well, we can bring up the New York Times, which is interesting because that is in some ways the country's newspaper, right? Like it's hugely influential. On the other hand, they are not unbiased. I think there is a clear bias in their reporting. And there is a reason, like with all of this, I'm going to go back to this Hillary Clinton interview. She was saying, critiquing Trump, because she's like, he only ever goes to outlets that are supportive of him, like Fox News. Well, that's because every other outlet in America is supportive of the Democrats. I mean, there are very few. I think you'd have to really look at independent media sources to say who is really trying to deliver fair news that represents both sides of an argument. And I think that's one of the reasons we have increased political division, right? People are they know they have to discern what's being said to them. So they might watch, Alex Stein show and, they like you. They maybe know you have your own opinions. They know who you want to win for president. And they like that. That's fair. But that's because they also know if they turn on MSNBC and CNN, if they sit in an airport, they're going to get the other side force fed to them. It's voters who are interested in hearing conservatives' perspective who sort of have to do more work.
Yeah, that's why I like listening to Jimmy Dore because he's kind of opposite
yeah.
of me, but I feel like he's fair in his opinions. But I don't know. When it comes to our media, everything has some sort of angle, everything has some sort of bias, and human beings are not that smart. I say that all the time. Sadly, we're just.
I guess it's all relative, though. I mean, what do you mean human beings are of average intelligence? We weigh humans against humans.
Yeah, but it's just like so easily swayed. I mean, all these people that are now supporting Kamala are acting like she wasn't the vice president for the past 4 years. Like she's some sort of like she tweets, "Now I care about the border." Yet we have Haitian people eating cats and dogs. Crime is through the roof. We have
Actually, the only evidence we have is that people from the Congo were eating cats.
Yeah.
regardless of who's eating cats, you saw it. Even Fox News said of the 400,000 people that we.
660,000 criminals.
15,000 people we've let in the country that have a sexual assault conviction.
Right.
13,000
At large.
have a homicide conviction. That is very scary.
20,000 robbers.
Yeah, but I mean,
They're at large.
We're
There
letting
are a lot of pending cases
We're letting
there, too.
molesters in our country, and nobody cares.
Trump called it. We do care.
Didn't Congress just vote against deporting them?
Yeah,
They're
and
like, well, we can't. That's crazy. We got to be nice to everybody. I think that this is the thing. I think there are more Americans who have political fatigue that are like, you guys are both doing a bad job. Republicans, Democrats, things are unstable. Things are not good enough. And they are just kind of disenchanted with the way American politics works. I think a lot of them will vote for Trump. You see polls like this where they're like, the economy is the number one issue. I don't like Donald Trump, but this is really bad, and we think he would do better. It's not that they are looking for friends in the White House; it's that they're looking for solutions to like the crises that are facing their cities right now, like increased illegal immigration that often leads to more crime or longer waits at hospitals, the economic burdens that are going on because of inflation. Like these are real things that Americans are considering. They're kind of tired of this like pick our team politics.
Yeah, I mean, now people are just dying of fentanyl overdoses. That's affecting like American citizens that are buying these drugs that are smuggled in by the cartel. And I don't know. I just feel like people are just kind of indifferent to it all. And I hope people go and vote for a candidate that actually cares about this country. Like I said earlier, you might not like Donald Trump, but Donald Trump, he loves himself, but he also loves this country. I don't think I can say the same for Kamala Harris. I don't think she loves America. And I don't even know if she has really any American pride, to be honest. That's why they want to make it a melting pot. They want to try to. They fired my biological stepfather, Tucker Carlson, for this. But I do believe they're trying to kind of replace the majority here in this country and try to make them the minority. And I'm not trying to say that to be edgy. I just think that's obviously what's happening.
What do you think the best way to cultivate love of America is right now? Because I agree with you. I think this is in part a cultural crisis.
Well, what's sad is that the most American pride that I've ever felt or had in my life was September 11th, or really it was like September 12th, 2001, when all the football games came back on. And every team, it sounds so cheesy, they were running out with the American flag. Everybody had an American flag in their yard. People loved this country, and it took a terrible disaster like that to get that American pride. And sadly, I think there has to be another disaster for us to ever kind of come together. And the pandemic didn't do it. The pandemic,
not even close. Yeah.
nah. So it's going to have to be.
I don't agree.
What?
I think the divisions in this country are too intense to be mended by disaster.
You don't think?
I don't know what there could be. Like, after 9/11, this country was not really that well, there was deep divisions over Gore v. Bush, but it wasn't existential crises in that the differences between the parties was, sure, we are angry when our team, the candidate we wanted didn't win, but it was like tax policy and abortion.
The culture war is what's killing us ever since
Now,
it started.
but now it's like the divisions we have in this country are existential.
Yeah.
The books in schools and what it means for kids moving forward, and an open, porous border they're lying about. Gen Z not able to buy houses, and they're in their mid to late 20s now. Or they're going into their mid 20s. At 25, you're supposed to be having your family going already, and now we're looking at the average age in which people are having families is 30. We need to stop right now, and everyone needs to say whatever we can do to get some 25-year-olds married with children is what this country should be doing, and it's not going to happen.
Well, this
is getting worse.
This is how I know we're screwed.
Black pill.
Well, the family of the Indian that the Washington Redskins logo was, drawn after, they want them to change their name back to the Redskins, like the Cleveland Indians. Now they're the Guardians. Like it's Orwellian. It's 1984. Like we can't even have these teams that won Super Bowl championships, World Series, and just delete them. So I don't know. Maybe it's political correctness is why we're so screwed. I mean, if we're that sensitive, we can't have a team called the Redskins.
We got good news though. Yes. I want you guys to be optimistic. We have this story from Axios. America's youngest voters turn right. The share of young American men who say they identify with select political ideologies. Now, the funny thing is they say men. They actually point out later, it's not. It's all genders. They say it's true for both genders. Look at this.
Wait, did Axios just say 2 genders instead of every gender? Okay.
True for both genders. Oh,
yeah. What's going on? What's going on?
Look at that. Uh-oh. It's fact now. Take a look at this. 18 to 24-year-olds, there are 4% more conservatives. There's 40% identify as moderate, 26 is conservative, 22 is liberal. Among 25 to 29, 27% are liberal, 21 are conservative, and 48 are moderate. This is a huge shift, and I'm going to tell you why. Gen Z wants to buy a house. They deserve to buy a house. Why can't they buy a house? Why are they, I'm telling you, I can only imagine some Gen Z guys sitting there being like, I can't find work, and I want to own a house, and I can't. And some illegal immigrant just came in and they gave him a house and they gave him a job. Yo, what's going on? There's a luxury hotel in New York that they converted into immigrant housing. And then you watch these videos where it's like, hey, we're young Gen Z New Yorkers. And there's 3 of us living in a 200 square foot cube with no bathroom. It's a bachelor pad.
The 18 to 24-year-olds also got to experience the very authoritarian Biden regime during COVID, right? I mean, they were the ones in high schools that were required to mask for crazy hours, or they weren't allowed to have sports because of whatever. Like, they are the ones that saw the government in the most powerful position during that time and did not feel any positive effects from it. So I wonder, too, if it's just saying, like, our exposure to big government and the big Democrat regime was not positive, and we are not willing to go down that road for another 4 years of our lives.
Yeah, but I think all this is going to change after Trump, because I don't think there's a lot of conservatives that are going to be able to, carry the slack. I think that this is probably going to
very cynical today.
What do you mean?
I'm always cynical. I mean, after Nikki Haley's going to be the next?
No, yeah.
You honestly think Vivek has the same sort of star power that Donald Trump has?
No, but he's got 10 times more than any Democrat.
I don't know. I just think that
who's next in the line for the Democrats, though?
Pete Buttigieg.
I feel like Josh Hawley,
AOC.
JD Vance, Vivek. There are I can name way more Republicans that give them 4 years could come out on top than I could Democrats. No, I'm obviously biased because they are more reflective of my values. But what are we gonna do? AOC, Max Frost. Who are we batting if you're
Maxwell
a Democrat?
Frost sucks, but I watch AOC is probably going to run for president or vice president in our lifetime.
I think she's gonna go the Nancy Pelosi route. I think she's gonna stay in Congress and try to work her way up the power ladder.
We make fun of Nancy Pelosi for all of her stock trading, but I believe right now Dan Crenshaw is the top.
He is number 1 right now.
Number 1 at trading.
Yeah.
Dan Crenshaw has the best stock portfolio out of any congressman.
Last I saw.
Yes, and he's conservative. Yeah, Google it. And so we have a bunch of neocons. Like, I'm conservative. I'm anti-abortion. I want the government involved in less stuff. But the problem is it's all an illusion. All these conservatives, they don't really give a damn about
Alex,
us.
what about maybe we're not super conservative, but like folks like myself and I don't know who else here, maybe Tim or yourself, but like middle of the road, Tulsi style, JFK, RFK style, instead of like.
But Crensshaw's only net worth is like 1.4 million. Like Nancy Pelosi is like 200 million.
I think he's worth more than 1.4 million right now.
That's what QuiverQuant says, and they're like the tracking Congress.
No.
Wow.
So what about like you don't have to be super conservative to?
No, I mean I am conservative.
The new right, the new right.
I just don't think we're ever going to stop fighting wars. I think we're going to constantly make money by killing innocent people with drones. Like you watch these videos in Ukraine, and I'm very desensitized for sure. But like when I see a guy praying before a drone drops on him and blows him up, and then this is what pisses me off. We have politicians on both sides that are autographing bombs. I would never do that. I would never autograph something and be like, "Oh, this is gonna go kill somebody. This is so awesome. Here's my signature. I killed you." Like I don't know. And we need to just get rid of the government. I mean, I don't know. I think that's the only ways. We need. Maybe I'm going the Michael Malice way. Maybe anarchy. I don't know.
National divorce.
both sides suck, sadly, but I have more conservative values. I just say.
I think
We-
that's
we
reflective
need-
of so many American voters right now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
agree.
I think I represent the majority of people. So I'm not saying this, really, if I wanted to be ingenuine, I'd be like, even though I am MAGA, but I'm saying like, the conservatives are always going to win. We're the best. It's not. The game's rigged, first of all. I think we're going to be able to tell that. Pennsylvania is the main state and they can't even count the votes in one day. So that's all you need to know. The most important state can't even do, and I think Venezuela does their elections in one day. So it's just, we have a corrupt system. Both sides are probably in on it. And we have a bunch of unelected bureaucrats that are running this government right now. So I'm not trying to get too black-pilled, but I'm a little black-pilled. I'm just pissed off. Like Tim said, people can't afford a house. People are, sterile from being overprescribed birth control. That's why
Plastics, microplastics.
microplastics. My testicles are full of microplastics. Like your water, the atrazine's turning the frogs, sexually ambiguous. Like bad stuff's happening. And chemtrails, if you want to go crazy, there's spraying. That's no. Bill Gates admits that they're trying to spray aerosols in the sky to block the sun. Google that. Tim.
Yeah, but
you don't believe that?
You're conflating two things.
Well, okay, you can say chemtrails are different. I'm just saying they're spraying synthetic stuff in the sky.
They do that all the time. They do.
that's not good. That's
they
not
did it in
good.
Dubai, and then they caused floods, and then came back out. And we're like, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's
What was
not
it?
good.
Potassium. Some kind of potassium.
I don't give a damn what they're spraying. They shouldn't be spraying synthetic.
cloud seeding.
I know cloud seeding's not good. This is not good. The fact that the government can manipulate the weather and then they give us
Funny because they do it all the time, and people are like, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it's like, no, they didn't.
No, it's open.
Cloud seeding
Google
since this-
cloud seeding. Yeah.
It's not that it's open. It's that it's like a publicly funded, well-known thing that people advocate for.
I think if you're in China, like Crazy Rich Asians, that movie, there's people that, like, if you don't want your wedding to have rain, you want to do an outdoor wedding, you can pay a company and it'll make it where it will not rain on your wedding day.
Yeah, they can do things.
Cloud disbursement.
Yeah, all that stuff.
But you didn't answer the question. Is there someone who's not full conservative, who's like post-liberal, I guess, whatever, I don't know the terminologies nowadays, like Carl Benjamin style.
Maybe
whatever they say.
Post Malone, I would vote for, maybe.
Is there,
Yeah, Carl Benjamin's post-liberal.
okay, and then Phil is post, and you know how there's two different factions? Like,
Phil Labonte?
yeah.
I don't know.
One's like
Has Phil
post-liberal
ever
and one's-
defined his ideology?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Well,
But
he's
yeah,
an
just-
anti-communist and counter-revolutionary, and right now he's
yeah.
on the Destroy All Enemies tour, but he's coming back on Friday.
But I thought there's going to be someone in the middle of the road, like a Tulsi or Vivek, who's not, I don't think he's super conservative as far as I know. He's just a,
Well, what made Trump so good is that he wasn't a politician,
Yeah.
right?
and he was middle of the road too. He wasn't super hardcore conservative.
So
guy.
I think that's what we need. We need somebody that's not a politician, but I don't know if anybody has the chutzpah or the charisma to do what Donald Trump did. Like, and I see like these actors, like, everybody's just getting so mad because Dave Bautista or whatever said he's voting for Kamala. Dude, that guy's so insignificant. He wasn't even that good of a wrestler. Now, if the Undertaker said he was voting for Kamala Harris, I would not be happy. But I don't know. I don't know who would be good. Oh, who's Glenn Jacobs? He used to be Kane. He's conservative. Glenn Jacobs. You just heard it here. Primetime 99. Alex Stein endorses Glenn Jacobs, Kane, for president of the United States of America after Donald Trump. Do you know who Glenn Jacobs is? He used to wear the...
No.
You know who Kane is.
He's the mayor of Knoxville.
Yeah, mask. He used to go like this.
Isn't he the mayor of Knoxville?
Flames. He was a badass.
Oh.
I think the personnel crisis
biggest badasses.
for the future of the MAG movement is totally real. Like, who is going to... It's a great question. I just think it's worse for Democrats. Like, what, Hakeem Jeffries is going to run for president? Who is their next stop? Gretchen Whitmer? Is she going to suddenly launch a
You're right,
presidential
because Kamala
campaign?
Harris is so untalented, and she's next.
That
in
was
line.
the best they could produce in a crisis.
Joe Biden was the best they could do, and he's a potato. So,
That's not fair, dude. That's mean to potatoes.
yeah, well, I don't want to be blackpilled. I think
You
it's
know,
very...
the other day at the event Rescue the Republic, they did a gala afterwards with RFK and Jordan Peterson. They had these. They took potatoes and they cut the inside of the potato into a little bowl, and then they put a little sour cream in the middle of it.
Like tiny baked
And
potatoes.
see, I look at that and I'm like, potatoes are based, and that's not
and they're
fair.
delicious. Yeah, it's
I
not
know.
fair. To
little
Joe
chive
Biden.
on top too.
I'm starting to like Joe Biden now. I'll just say it here. And now people are going to call me libtarded. But when he put on that MAGA hat, and if he is trying to, secretly support Trump, I would love that. I love that conspiracy. I hope that's true. I hope he tries
Speaking
to
of
take her out.
potatoes, shout out to Seamus Coughlin. I hear he's coming back soon.
Couple weeks.
Nice.
Yep.
We love Seamus. Shout out Freedom Tunes. I think it was one of his Freedom Tunes went really viral. I think Alex Jones.
Yeah, he just killed Tim.
Is that the one? No.
Oh no.
That's not the one that went viral.
Oh, but
Was it the dogs one? They're eating the dogs.
I have not seen that one. I seen the Kamala one. Doing the economy one was everywhere on Instagram, with the big robot shooting down, talking about laser eyes. I seen that all over the place.
But he won't run Tucker Carlson. I'd like to.
See, there we go.
I would love
Okay.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
But he's already said he does not want to get involved in politics because he's smart. He realizes it's. Do you think Donald Trump is I mean, I know he's happy that he became president, but is he better off after spending the last 20 years, campaigning?
The dude could have retired at 30.
I know, and he could just be with his supermodel wife and.
And I bet the CIA said that to him.
I think that would.
Yeah,
be
the
probably
CIA's
nicer.
like,
Yeah, they were like, "Why don't you just go send your yacht in the Mediterranean and hit golf balls into the sea?" And he's like, "Nah, I'll be president." And they were like, "Ugh."
And this is why I'm thankful to Barack Obama, because if Barack Obama did not clown him at that White House Correspondents' Dinner, he might not have ran. And so yeah, I love.
What did he say? You'll never be president or something?
Yeah, something like that. And because he was saying he's a birther, but I still think Obama's birth certificate's fake. But I don't know. I don't want to be all negative. Life is good. I'm here. I'm in West Virginia. I'm with my friends. So I'm not sad. I sound like I'm sad. We have the elections in 35 days. I have no idea. I thought in 2020 Trump was
You're going to be at the party though, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. But I'm saying I thought Trump was going to win landslide. Was wrong about that. 2016, I thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. I wanted Trump to win, but I was like, Hillary's going to win. I'm listening to the
So you were
news.
wrong each time.
I've been wrong both times.
And you think Kamala's going to win now?
I'm kind of thinking Kamala. I'm kind
You're
of
just gonna be wrong again.
I'm trying to fade myself, Tim. You know this as a gambler. Like if I try to fade, if I think it's going to be this, I try to go with the opposite of that. It's called fading, and I'm like fading myself. I'm kind of like Kamala's going to win in the hopes that Trump wins, but I don't know. I think they're going to do something,
Shenanigans.
I think it's very possible.
Very possible.
Or, God forbid, I do not want this to happen. I wouldn't be surprised they let Trump win and then they 86 him.
I mean, they have a bad record right now. I mean,
0 for 2.
They're 0 for 2, but you can't.
no, but still, 2 attempts, not great.
Yeah, the third one,
A lot
they
more
might
than
not
most
mess
folks.
up.
I'm more worried that Iran either
Iran would yes, 100%.
or either does this or is blamed for it for whatever reason. But in the event that Iran is the principal suspect, this country is going to war, the likes of which this generation has never seen.
And listen, they know how to do a suicide bomb. I mean, they know how to do. There's no defense to a terrorist, just doing something like that.
So Donald Trump even stated he's surrounded by more cops and guards because Iran is targeting him.
Yeah.
And, I have people ask me, like, do you really think it's Iran? I don't know. I think it's false flag. And I'm like, dude, Iran publicly stated they're after him for killing Soleimani. It's like not a conspiracy theory. Like, the Ayatollah's like, we'll get him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Trump ordered the killing of Soleimani, and now they're like, we will have retribution for what you have done. So when they arrest a guy planning Trump's assassination, and then people are like, do you really think it's... And I'm like, yeah. I mean, like, what do you think? You think Iran's just like, we are going to do nothing here. We will do, like, no, of course. We've been in conflict with these people for a long time.
And I think that they know that Donald Trump will go after Iran and that Kamala Harris would probably not go after Iran as hard as Trump would. So that's why Trump's a bigger threat.
Someone someone bring us up on the show, they said if Trump becomes president, Iran's opportunity for their assault on Trump is gone. Like,
If he becomes president?
if Trump becomes
I think
president,
they'd be more motivated to take him out.
his security is going to be off the charts and bulletproof glass. Right? What were they saying the whole time? Like, oh, we couldn't give Trump detail. He's not president.
Well,
So
they shot Reagan, they shot him, they shot JFK.
That 1980,
Well,
a long time ago.
I know, but I don't think I don't know, guys. I think
You're saying they a lot.
Who's they, though?
Deep
Who's they, though?
State. These guys are vulnerable. I know they have those little glass walls, but somebody.
Yo. So at the Rescue the Republic event, they had bulletproof glass for all the speakers.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me. And not everybody stood behind it, but a lot of people stood behind it. And I'm like, I would not do that.
You would not stand behind it?
I would just walk back and forth on the stage.
Oh.
Yeah.
You gotta get me as I'm moving?
Yeah, and make it a little like just start walking back and forth as I'm talking, but I wouldn't stand behind bulletproof glass like that. Maybe that just means I should not do events like that.
Yeah.
You would if you're
Yeah,
president.
that's fair.
And they'd make
If I was president, I'd stand behind bulletproof glass. I'm saying they were just like comedians standing behind bulletproof glass.
Well, did you have a chance? Can you stand in front of it?
Some people went around and walked and stuff like that. You know, the band, when I was hanging out with the Defiant and those guys were playing live, that was awesome. And they didn't have any bulletproof glass.
Did they take it down when Dickie came on? Did they?
No, it was up. And I was like, I asked Dickie, are you going to go sing behind the bulletproof glass? He's like, come on. Dude, Dickie Barrett
He's
is a
an
legend.
actual rock star. So
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
That was so wild. Shout out to the Defiant, Pete Parada, all the boys. We had a great time hanging out at Rescue the Republic. And they're talking about doing more of these. Someone asked me this. They said, how come there wasn't 100,000 people just across the whole monument, just like lined up to watch this event? They had this massive stage, multi-million-dollar setup with big TVs and huge speakers. And I was like, I didn't even know what was happening. And I live here.
Yeah, I don't think they marketed it well enough. But also, I would argue that people are probably afraid to go to Washington, D.C. and do anything like that right now.
Oh, I mean, dude. As soon as I found out, I was like, I hit him up. I was like, hey, can I come to this? And they're like, for sure. You'll come backstage and hang out. And I was like, I wish I knew what was happening.
On that note, I had zero idea until Friday, until Josie brought it up.
I know.
I had zero. Nothing.
I'd heard about it a week and a half before, but I didn't know enough about it. And I was just like, maybe they just don't want me to shout it out. I figured they'd ask if they wanted.
They could have marketed it a little better, but they worked hard on it. I mean, I think
It was awesome.
Yeah, and even though there could have been more people there, online it did really well. I mean, it all got millions and millions of hits. So I think it was still a successful event. But yeah, I mean, people were probably afraid to go to D.C. And let's say Trump wins. Do you think there's going to be a bunch of, January 6th liberals?
Here's what I'm saying. I was talking to them. I was talking to some of the bands and the musicians that played. I said, we should do a festival that's like a freedom music kind of thing.
Based.
Because, they had some bands play, but it was largely political speeches. And I said, let's do the opposite. Let's have like a bunch of bands play and then maybe like one statement from like, somebody like RFK Jr. or whoever want to come. Everybody was super down with it. And there's some talk that they may consider doing a bunch more of these. So if there was on January 6th a major event, but it was not in D.C., do it in West Virginia an hour out, have everybody come down, and I think that's the way to do it. You know what I mean? Depending on what happens. If Trump ends up losing, I'd love to have a January 6th music festival in West Virginia, an hour away from all of these places where it's literally just we're going to hang out, play some music, talk about our values, cry a little bit, You
got two big floors. You got two huge floors going on.
Floors?
If it was in the building, if it was in the cafe
We
building.
definitely kind of do a festival in a small building.
Well, not a festival, just a meetup, but okay.
If we're going to have a bunch of bands playing on a big stage in a big field, that's the plan.
When are we going to do a techno?
I was thinking too small.
That's what we need
Too
to do, dude. This place is set up. Have you ever been to a rave?
We're getting the projector, the theater screen set up soon.
Coming.
Right?
We need to get
It's
some
coming.
lights.
Yeah, it's coming.
Do you know when it's going to be here?
It was shipped out last week, and it's 10 to 14 days, give or take.
But then we're going to have like a 20-foot theater screen so we can do like MMA and video games. And
You
big
need
shows.
you can just be on the DJ booth and just some laser light show.
I did test the projector, though. It looks good. It looks good.
It does look good from up there?
I did, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
That's 75 feet.
Nice. And we're going to get a cart if we want to move closer. We got options.
Well, and maybe we'll save this for after hours, but Tim, and I said this earlier, it is crazy every time I come here that there is a cemetery like right over there, Tim. You don't think
There's a cemetery on the.
I know. How does that not spook you out a little?
No, we're cool with the ghosts.
Ian does his magic.
That's not good. He's doing magic.
No. They just placate Ian. He comes and he's like, I'm going to keep the ghosts away. And then he does this thing and the ghosts are like, he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just ignore him, guys. And the ghosts are from the 1700s.
Very scary. Do not mess. I did a seance.
So they're all very racist, by the way.
When
Tim,
did you do a seance?
We did it on my show, and no joke, that week at the Blaze, the whole entire internet went out. All this crazy stuff, like one of the walls on the set collapsed. Dude, all this crazy stuff happened. Do not mess with that. I did it as a joke and a bunch
Playing
of
with dark stuff.
You regret it?
Dark magic is real. Dark magic is real. Call me crazy, but you do all this stuff. That's why like Hillary Clinton and all these weirdos, they do go to Bohemian Grove and they do weird rituals and they do think it helps them get successful.
We're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and head over to getcominghome.com. Make sure you have iTunes installed so you can buy the song on iTunes. Our goal here is if you like the song, buy the song for 99 cents to support our work. They're expensive endeavors. We put our heart and soul into these songs. This song is about those who sacrifice so much for this country and come home to find what I would just call the decay and degeneration of our cities. So check out the music video on YouTube at Timcast Music, and you'll understand the vibe and the message. But it's fairly straightforward without being overtly political. If you want to support us, we're trying to stick it to the gatekeepers in Hollywood who think that we're not allowed to be a part of this. Like they insult us. They insult Matt Walsh when he makes "Am I Racist?" They tell Tom McDonald he's not allowed to chart even though he's got the sales. So getcominghome.com. Buy the song for 99 cents if you like the song and you want to support the work we do. All right, we got T-Bomb. He says, but before we read your messages, today's Super Chats are brought to you by MyPillow. Just go to web address /Tim and save today. That's how you take mid-roll sponsors without disrupting the flow. So, shout out to MyPillow. We could do, what I've long said is I don't want to do mid-roll ad reads during Timcast IRL because we're all talking, and then I try to jump to a story that's in line with where the conversation's already going. So, if we start talking about war and conflict, I'm like, well, okay, then we jump to the Israel story. And then we might have to do hard segues where it's like, okay, we're going to jump to Netflix now, totally off topic, but sometimes segues are hard. Most podcasts, in fact, I think all of them, would abruptly in the middle be like, hey, hold that thought, guys. We're going to read an ad from our sponsor. And I'm like, I think that's disruptive to the flow of the show, and it feels kind of bad. So that's the point he's making.
Tim,
but if
you had the most viral moment of the years when you on Ben Shapiro's show, and
when in like the middle,
it got right into that ad for get a taste of Israel, order this,
Oh yeah, I seen that recently.
Did you not see that clip?
I didn't see it. But people told me about it.
Yeah, Tim, it is insane. You guys are having a serious conversation and just like immediately goes to this.
Because you can sell for more money if your ad reads are in the middle of the content.
Yeah, it was right in the middle, like right when you were saying something very important.
That's the point. Ben was saying we should not give foreign aid to foreign countries or some kind of baloney like that in that aspect. So I'm
But that video,
then he went right to commercial of support Israel.
Oh, it was me saying I think we shouldn't be funding these things.
There we go. And then he went like, hey.
Taste of Israel.
Yeah, it was like have a taste of Israel. Order the Israel sample box.
The most valuable ads are when you are saying, it would be like this, Alex, what I'm about to tell you is going to rock your world. The most important thing you've ever heard. But before that, buy.
Yeah.
And so they want you. Yeah, buy gold. But he's suggesting that we do it before we get into Super Chats, which we could. Okay. But that's not really a mid-roll. That's like we've wrapped up the news portion of the show. We're going to read your Super Chats. Your Super Chats basically are sponsor spots for the show. So we would make a lot of money if we sold ads. But for the morning show, we have 3 mid-roll slots, which are in between each segment, which I think nobody would mind if like a minute sponsor was read in there, because we don't do any live ad reads. All right, let's go. Lance Higgins says, first time Super Chat. I've been subbed for years and didn't get a single notification at all tonight about the show. It wasn't even in the YouTube notifications tab. They love doing that, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Well,
so share the show. Everybody, smash the like button. Because if everybody who watched the show smashed the like button, we'd probably be on the front page for everyone in the world. And everybody who watches, share the show with your friends, because then we'd have millions of views.
I talked to a YouTube expert. If you have the notifications on, the most it will send out is 3 in a day.
That's right. We know that.
Okay. So
because we do clips and the live show,
then
some people who watch the clips and get notified of the clips won't get notified of the live show.
Happens, yeah.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But here's what really matters is if we get anywhere from 300 to 500 on YouTube within a few hours. Imagine if we had 500,000 likes. Yeah. If every single person who watched just clicked the like button, then YouTube, it really does impact the algorithm. They say, wow, this is massive. That's why there was a period where there were these viral videos where it was just a guy being like, smash the like button, just smash it. And there was nothing in the video. And he would have like 500,000 likes,
awesome.
And then it would be on the front page.
Dude, even if you got 100K, that's huge. Huge.
But it is
because I don't think we come near that right now, right?
We do about 10,000 likes live, and then we end up with like 20,000 afterwards.
But it's so inorganic, like what YouTube decides to push, because randomly I'll have like a video pop off. You're like, why does this? And it'll tell me, oh, more people are watching it than normal, this and that. But if they want to push a video, they can push a video.
No question.
I know, it's just ridiculous. So
what do we got here?
It's not organic.
Does that make it hard when you're talking to like your YouTube expert? Like they're like, oh, well, this is an explanation. And in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, but if you wanted me to be more successful.
Yeah.
Well, like I just had a video get like 6 million views, and I'm like, this isn't that good of a video, but it just hit the algorithm, and it just popped off.
Well, because something happened that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Dummy.
All right, multiracial line says, didn't agree with your thoughts about the Unity Party as the revolutionary campaign this morning. It's the true hope campaign of our lifetime. Sure. Tyrant God says, got hit hard by the hurricane here in South Carolina. Currently have no power to pump the well, so no water. Town looks like a war zone. Keep us in your prayers. Sorry to hear it, man. Hope all is well. But you guys may have heard me say, remember when I said if the storm is coming, you fill up your bathtub? This is why, because then you'll have some water. You're going to be very careful with it because you need to drink and you need to flush and other things. So, Kayla says, Tim, we lost everything a few years ago, but kept fighting. Now proud owners of coffee roasting biz called Get Your Coffee. Is that what it is? Or what is it? It says, Get Your Coffee. Shout out to Public Square where you can find us. Never give up. Never give in. Fight, fight, fight. Right on. And shout out to Public Square. If you guys haven't downloaded the Public Square app, you are missing out. You can find all the businesses that support American values in your neighborhood and order online. Restless Medic says, Florida paramedic here. I can confidently say I did not expect anybody from Harris's campaign to come here, and I'm not surprised they didn't. The point of them coming in is to be able to coordinate FEMA federal resources better. Indeed. Indeed. Jacob Hawley says, Asheville, complete loss. Helping on the ground. At hospital, we got hundreds of bodies, Tim. Gee. We need help bad. Interstate is disintegrated. National Guard and Red Cross can't get in. National Guard is flying medevac in. Sent people here, please. We are looking at maybe 200 or 300 gone. Wow. Well, only people who have the resources, the vehicles, the tools. And if you don't know, if you have it, then you don't have it. So just otherwise you can make the problem worse.
Don't go in blind. Yeah, exactly.
I disagree. Rednecks are like the most...
But they know what they need living out in the middle of nowhere. You know, they got winches on their trucks and everything, and they got the big wheels.
Yep.
And they're going to be like, I can drive through anything, you know, and then they can pull people out. You don't want some urban liberal to get in their Toyota Camry and
I don't know.
Say the Honda Civic, the Prius.
Did you see that video of that dog on the roof and they're getting a dog into a boat? It was like crawling on a roof. It'll make you cry. Look up dog on a roof. But that's why it's like I want more people out there helping. And I know you might risk your life, and that is dangerous.
You know what? You got to know what you're doing, man. All right. Hoplite Industry says Shopify are targeting and destroying our business for not towing the commie line. Fight, fight, fight. Oof. Sorry to hear it, man. No good. No good. Rob Lucende says still waiting on Biden-Harris to come to East Palestine, Ohio.
Yep.
Man.
What about Hawaii, Maui? I mean,
yeah, seriously. Wow.
Everything in America they don't go to.
No.
All right. Marodney says, Tim, where did you film Coming Home? So many shots remind me of my hometown, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I love the song, and it weighs heavy on my heart because I see it every day. It was filmed in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
I have family from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and it is crazy what has happened there. It's family that had lived there for generations, and eventually sold their houses and moved out because it's gotten so bad. So I think you're reflective of a lot of cities, but Pine Bluff is one to definitely look up.
I think 90% of what the music video is Martinsburg, and there's some that's not, and maybe in Colorado, very likely, not sure. What have we here? Stephen Marilette says, Tim, the Dem campaign is afraid to let her interact with real emergency response personnel. Think about these guys coming out and saying she's a joke. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yep.
She goes down and talks to them, and then they go on the news and say, well, she was no help. She had no idea what she was talking about. She's not paying attention. It would be very bad for her.
And look, they got a president elected with a basement campaign before, so why not just try the same strategy again? Keep her out of public sight as much as possible.
That's a very good
Phil
point.
L. says, did you see Hillary recently mentioned an October surprise?
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
She said that? I didn't. What did she say?
Sorry, I'm eating a cracker. This was during this interview that she just did. She mentioned that the October surprise, there's going to be one. There always has been. And it's going to be about Kamala Harris. It's going to be to make her look bad. You want to look it up? It's
Wait, was that fake?
So she's saying there's bad news for Kamala? Mm-hmm. But there's always bad news for Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was that Ed Krasenstein thing real? He said he had nude photos of J.D. Vance, or was that all fake?
Did he? I didn't know he said that. He said that?
Yeah, I think he posted it, but I don't know if he was trying to insinuate that he could share it because we shared Hunter Biden nude photos. I couldn't tell if it was like if it was all a work or a troll.
They're all losers, those two.
But if J.D. Vance came out with nudes, that'd probably help his career.
I think there is... we have had October surprises. In 2016, it was the emails for Hillary, and it was the Hollywood.
James
for
Comey
Trump.
Verified those emails, and that kind of was.
That
was
that's
like
the
nail
thing.
in her
Like two
coffin.
things came out during October. One was very serious for the American public. It's and I also think it's what the candidates make of it. Like whatever Hillary Clinton is saying is to start an offense on behalf of Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
All right, the real Tourette says, P.S. to Tim, this being my second super chat ever, when you sued Kamala is when I found money in my extremely limited and fixed budget to subscribe.
Hoorah.
Well, I do appreciate it. I imagine that the costs we generate from the lawsuit against Kamala's campaign will be hefty. These things are not cheap. But look, a lot of people have said, like, when they defame you, you got to sue. And often there's no case, like a lot of people will defame you in certain areas. And I see a lot of people talk about wanting to sue somebody. And it's like, no, that's public speech. Like, that's opinion. Kamala Harris made extremely egregious lies that I think go well beyond what anyone would consider to be, like, I don't know, egregious. in saying that I was calling for Donald Trump to start rounding up Democrats and begin executing them. I mean, that's insane.
Ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's an extreme, insane lie when I am very adamantly anti-death penalty, and it's offensive. So, but there's a lot more to the case. We have the filing out, and there may be updates soon.
As a representative of the Beanie Brigade here on the show, it's a great thing that you for years you preached standing up and doing what you got to do, and that was so blatant to what she did, what she said, and it's a complete lie that you are doing it now. So I'm glad that I'm glad people are supporting you.
Well, I hope y'all become members at timcast.com and then come hang out in the members only show in 10 minutes. But
Yep.
Korwag says it would be dope if you guys did Gangster's Paradise by Coolio for the cover. I believe it fits perfectly on how the military-industrial complex treats people. Also, Candace Owens' dive into Kamala's family background is worse than the McDonald's scandal. What does that mean? What's the McDonald's scandal?
The stolen McValor. Also, well, I have to get this in before the end of the show. So, Candace Owens is sending her producer, my friend Mark Herman, to Antarctica to explore Antarctica. And technically,
well, you were supposed to set it up so I could send you there. And I don't know what you're doing.
Well, should I go? There's a thing called the Final Experiment right now, and they want me to go, Tim. But this is what I had to do: is I had to fly to the tip of Chile. Then Chile, you fly 4 hours to the base camp in Antarctica. And
Which base camp?
It's called
McMurdo?
No, it's not McMurdo. That's the main one.
That's right.
It's called something else. But what happens is like, according to the Globe, they have a 24-hour sun in December in the South Pole.
It's like 60 degrees.
I don't know what the temperature is, but you can see the sun. You're supposed to be able to see the sun for 24 hours. There's very limited videos of this, but they have thousands of videos of this sun doing this in the North Pole, but they don't in the South Pole. So Candace Owens, who is kind of a globe skeptic, which I respect,
Wait, is that serious?
She's dead serious. She's sending her producer, and she's dead serious. Yeah.
She thinks the world might be flat, or she thinks it is flat?
She, a little bit of both. She's kind of in the same boat as Primetime Alex Stein. We don't believe a lot of the machinations of the universe. Tim, they tell us that we evolved from pond scum, dude. So there's a lot of stuff they tell us about the sun, moon, and stars I just don't believe. And I know it sounds crazy, but the sun is literally, it's a clock in the sky. Like, we know exactly where the sun is going to be at every single moment. My point is, with this observation that they're going to do in Antarctica, they've been begging me to go. They even made videos. I was about to send you a video like, is Alex Stein going to go? But Candace Owens is sending her producer. I talked to him. He's going December 18th.
All right, you going?
Prepaid.
Do it, dude. Do it.
Should I go?
You talk a lot of ish. You might
I know,
as well
but it's $35,000.
And?
Oh, never
But
mind.
this is something you have a huge life question about. I mean,
I know, but do I want to?
It's up. I'm going to do a poll right now. It's up to the audience.
Your content will make over 35.
I know it would be great content
Yeah,
because we could
bro.
go live, and it would be. I mean, I'd go for
Does
Timcast.
Starlink work down there?
Yes, They have full internet. They have it's almost like a military base, but it's a camp. They tear it down and build it back up every year. And it's I can't remember the expedition, but just type in the Final Experiment, and then they're on YouTube. They talk about all the details. But Candace Owens is going, so it's like
I like it.
how long would you go for?
It's a 10-day trip. So how it works is because the weather in Antarctica is kind of bad, you have to buy your flight. It may be a 3-day window, right? So you could get stuck in Antarctica for a few days. So it'd have to be like 10 days. I would fly to Chile, Santiago, Chile.
Tim, this is going to be easy answer right here.
What are they saying?
It's like 100% said
Yeah, no one's going to say,
No,
we got
everybody's
one
saying-
no.
It's $35,000, man. They could buy a car for that.
I know, but we could also prove the shape of the Earth, and you can make you the richest man in the world. So, it's up to you. It's him. And
This is I feel like this is a deep philosophical question you've been struggling for a
I've been
long
struggling
time.
with a lot of stuff, and this is one of them.
This is one of them.
Moon
I
landing.
don't know. I think you
Moon
should
landing,
go.
I'm struggling with.
So
Antarctica.
I think we should do a culture war episode.
from Antarctica.
No, you should go down there, get footage, film everything.
Oh, yeah.
We bring it back, and then we do an episode of the culture where we show it and talk about.
Yeah, bring a scientist on. I'll debate any scientist
Absolutely.
on. Yeah,
For sure.
100%. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy going, Austin Whitsitt, there's a guy, Jaron Campanella, and those guys are like experts when it comes into geocentrism. And it's not necessarily, I don't necessarily think the Earth is flat, but I do think they took a picture, it's called the Cosmic Radio Background Picture of the Earth. I do think the Earth is the center of the universe, and the sun, moon, and stars rotate around us. Because I think God created the Earth. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't believe in the Big Bang Theory. I don't think everything came from nothing. So my point is, call me crazy. I am crazy. Before this interview, I was huffing a little paint, so maybe that's why I'm
I can
rambling.
verify.
Yeah, you can verify.
He does whippets on his live.
Oh, Galaxy Gas. I'm going to take
Kidding
the
me?
Galaxy Gas. Me and Tim just hit the Galaxy Gas and skate all day. But yes, Tim, so I might be going to
The audience said
Antarctica.
yes. When are you going?
Deal.
It's December 18th through the.
All right.
It's December 8th. Excuse me. I think it's December 15th through the 21st.
All right.
But you have to go a couple days early, and you have to stay a couple days late because you might be late leaving Chile and coming back to Chile.
Okay, well, the audience has demanded. Look, it's our
My girlfriend
audience.
and my dad. They do not want me to go. They
Look,
do not want me to go.
These are the people voting are our members who sign up, and I feel a responsibility to make sure that we're doing cultural endeavors that they respect and are interested in being involved in. That's why I said it's up to them. Because when we say like, hey, we want to make a song, we want to make culture, and people join us, become members, and they say, please keep doing these things, we need their approval.
I agree.
It's like, we got to do things that you guys want us to do. If I was like, hey, become a member and I'll go buy myself a gold-plated toilet, people might get mad and be like, look, you're not helping, right? We've got to be on a mission. And the audience has spoken. 92% right now says Alex should go spend the money.
I agree that you have to give the audience what they want. I'm all about
Luke
that.
said leave Alex
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
They might leave me there. I mean, seriously. And Lord knows, with my luck, I would slip and fall into the ocean. I don't know. I'm just.
Luke says just get him a one-way ticket, but don't tell him.
But Tim, we would get some incredible content. I guarantee that.
I told you, the audience said yes already. The audience dictates. The viewers, they make.
See,
Why did you
guys.
bring it?
They're
You're
just
like-
waving goodbye to Alex.
Well, 'cause I
Audience-
don't want to go, but I don't want
to go, but I brought it up, and I've consistently brought it up every time I show up on this show.
Because it's a narrative
ding,
that
ding,
you guys
ding.
don't even know about. There's other people on the internet. It's called The Final Experiment. The people are talking. There's a list. Like, is Alex Stein going? Is Candace Owens
You
going?
have to go, dude.
And Candace Owens isn't going, but she is sending her producer, Mark Herman, is going. Like, her main producer. is
So
a
are
friend of
you,
mine.
What, the
apparently.
Blaze doesn't want to send you?
I don't know if Glenn, you mind if I go to Antarctica? Actually, they would be supportive if I wanted to go, 100%.
I think the audience has spoken. They say, look, these are the members that make it all possible for us to do the show, and they would like us to,
You're gonna have to talk to Paige. You're gonna have to talk to my girlfriend.
Power to the people, Alex.
No,
Power
she's
to
gonna have to come into the chat and ask the members.
she's the one that's saying no. If it was just me and it was up to me, I would go. But my cats.
Oh, look at this guy.
Well, I still might go. I still might go. I still
I'll
have
watch
time.
your cats for you.
There's still time.
All right,
to
I'll go.
You want to go?
No, I can't go.
Yeah, no.
Say, we're all
got
going
family time.
IRL live from Antarctica?
Remember
Did
that you have to
Starlink
take
work down there?
Yes, it does. But you have to take a 13-hour flight from
Life.
DFW to Santiago, Chile. Then Santiago, Chile, you go to like Puerto Playa, Chile. That's the very tip. And then from that, you fly 4 hours. And this is one
where?
thing. Gosh, what is the name of
You're
the
gonna
base?
are you going to like the middle? The South
No,
Pole?
you're going to like the tip. It's called.
Yeah, no one ever goes to the South Pole. You go down there and they're like,
Well, it's a ceremonial South Pole. You can't actually
Right.
get to the
yeah, because you'll die.
Yeah.
They're like, there's no resources, there's no boats, there's no cars, there's no planes. Like, what are you gonna do?
This is what it's 73 days away till the final experiment.
Well, you going.
Tick, tick, tick.
How about this? I got an idea. Can we get someone who looks like you and then just to film?
Yeah, I would love to get a proxy. If we can get any
stunt double?
Haitian guy that wants to go.
I don't understand. You said this is something you don't know the answer to, that you're curious about, you've wondered about. You have this opportunity.
Wait, hold on,
Because
hold
I
on.
feel like
Wait,
because
guys,
this also
hold on,
Hannah
hold on.
Claire, I get there,
Wait,
the government's like, Alex is going to expose us.
Wait,
The
no,
plane
no.
crashes.
Luke has volunteered to go.
Luke wants to go.
So we're gonna.
See, Luke knows it's going to be great content. Not going to let you take it from me, Luke. If anybody takes this from me, it's going to be a Haitian. That's the only person who's.
All right,
That's
all
the
right.
American way.
We're gonna grab a couple more super chats and then we'll jump to the members only show. So you don't want to miss the members only show. And let's see what we got here. There was hold on. Pat and the cat says if you'd watch the video, you would see he flipped them off you POS. And then someone says, John Leroy says, Tim, Waltz didn't flip anyone off. He's on the record to have fled conflict by avoiding a combat deployment. We got a photo.
Yeah, look up there.
What's this photo? He was not flicking anybody off. I'm like, come on, you really think that he was flipping somebody off? He's running for vice president. He lies about eating tacos. He's not gonna flip someone the bird. If he, like we pointed this out, if he flipped them off and then said, yeah, I did it, I'd respect it. I'd be like, oh, like you were saying, Hannah Claire.
Way funnier. And there's a bunch of dads who like have rowdy college kids who live in their neighborhood be like, yeah, I wish I could do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be like, I get it. Yep. They'd laugh and they'd be like, that's a guy I understand, But no, there's a photo of him. He's just pointing.
I'm glad he called you a POS for looking at a photo wrong.
He's
not even.
It is kind of weird what he's doing. Like,
Well,
Look,
didn't
he's
he
the
have
number
controversy?
one wall supporter.
what
He
is
would never
he's going
do.
like this?
Well, and
Like that's what I was saying. He's holding his hand is like in a very weird position.
I can't even do
And
that. I can't bend my hand. And
He's got his
looks
two
AI.
fingers over his ring finger. I said he would have to be having his hand in a weird position to make it look like it was his middle finger, and he is. You know, that's like a weird thing. Maybe they did it on purpose.
Well, wasn't there a controversy that the logo on his hat was for some sort of military
Green
branch?
Berets or whatever?
Yeah, and then
Oh, and he should have been. Why is he should be a Minnesota fan? Why is he a Michigan fan? He's
yeah,
from
what,
Minnesota.
did he
That's
go to
a little-
Michigan? What is that? I'm wondering why.
Is Michigan about battleground this year? I mean, Minnesota's not, as far as I know.
But if he's
Go
he's
Ohio
a governor,
State, go Buckeyes.
He's a governor. He
Really
should be a Minnesota
Look,
fan.
this guy is a politician. He
I
will
know.
say and do whatever he needs to do to win the votes he needs.
Now, that's the smartest thing you've said all night because it's the truest thing. I mean, I'm just saying that these politicians will do it on both sides. They will literally say and do whatever they need.
I love this. Ogan Maddox says if Walt didn't flip them off, it totally adds. It only adds to his absence of credibility. Wimp.
Oh yes, okay.
And so it's funny. It's like he didn't flip them off. What a loser! He should have flipped them off. Be a man. It's like there's no winning. There's no winning. Nope. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, come on, guys. It's a grainy video. It does kind of look like it, but there's a photograph. Why would he? Come on. This stuff doesn't happen. You know. But then, to be fair, I'm kind of like it maybe does because arresting the political rival doesn't happen either, and they're doing that. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on at this point. Actually, it would have been hilarious if you flipped them off and he was like, "We're gonna lock up Trump. We'll lock up all of you. We can do whatever we want." I'd be like, well, he's being honest. I can respect that. I
Look,
guess.
he's just generic politician goes to sports game to win votes right now. If he had flipped someone off, and I'm not saying he should have, he would have really made a statement and given himself more of a personality.
Yep.
I'm sure Kamala Harris would have been unhappy about that.
Legit Unknown says, Tim, Gen Z here, 24. 4 years ago, I made $6 less than right now. I was looking for property and almost got it. Was bought out from underneath me. I fear I may have missed the chance to own my land. Oh, the prices of houses have gone nuts. A lot of people, I'm hearing mutterings that like prices are going to collapse, don't buy or whatever, but I don't know. All I know is it's getting crazy out there. All right, my friends, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share the show with all of your friends. Head over to timcast.com right now. Click join us, become a member, because that members-only show is coming up, and you're not going to want to miss it because Alex believes weird and crazy things, and he's going to tell us all about it.
We're going to get really weird.
What's really going on at the South Pole with the lizard people? Who
Well,
live
they
underground.
do say there's pyramids there. And
Wait, save it, because I got a lot to say about it. I got a lot to say. Also, go to getcominghome.com. You need iTunes installed, or you could just go on iTunes and buy the song Coming Home by Timcast. We would greatly appreciate your support for our new song, which is about the cities who have been mismanaged and abandoned and have fallen into decay and ruin. Check out the song on YouTube. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Alex, do you want to shout anything out?
you go to blazetv.com/primetime and check out my latest PPP fraud documentary. I'd really appreciate that. And also go to Primetime with Alex on the YouTube channel right now and go hit that subscribe button. Help a pimp on a blimp because I'm going to Antarctica. Not for me, even though a little bit for me, but for you, all the chat rats. Shout out Serge, great job. Raymond, Hannah Claire, always. Tim, thank you for having me.
All right, I just want to, before I go real quick, I want to shout out 2 X accounts. One is at Y'all Squad. They're helping folks down in North Carolina and Tennessee and all those nice folks. And also Miss Emily Zanotti at EMZANOTTI. She has a thread of all the organizations that people in the area are putting together so they can help donate into that area. So look at her thread. You'll see all the stuff in that area. It's beautiful, and they're helping each other out. My name is Raymond G. Staley Jr. Follow me on X.com.
Yeah, thanks for watching tonight. It's been so fun to have you here. Raymond, it's always good to see you. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. We are just about a month away from the election at this point, so definitely keep an eye on our social media handles at Timcast News. We're doing our best to keep you informed on everything that's going on. You can see work from Chris Bertman, Chris Carr. For a lot's got video content going up, so definitely check us out. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at HannahClaire.b. I'm on X at HannahClaireB. Again, thanks for everything you guys do. Have a great night.
We will see.
One last thing. My buddy Dylan Keller got caught at one of the freak offs, P. Diddy's freak off. He works at the Blaze.
Jesus.
He did not do anything with Baby or anything. I just want to say that.
All right. We will see you all over at timcast.com in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.